Can anybody hear me? Is there anyone out there? Does everyone know what that means? Hello. Shiggy, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Had some technical things, as usual, before you stream, so just making sure. What's going on? We are going to be talking about all things Titanic today. I thought that it was a good time since technically it sunk this morning.
Oh,
However many years ago.
happy anniversary.
Um, oh, so excited for this Selling Sunset episode. Like, oh, I wish I was as cool as those boss bitches. What's up, Lars? But yeah, I should have done the math. Hold on. So 1912, 2023 minus 1912. 111 years ago today, pretty much. So I thought we'd pop on here for our brunch show this month and talk about it a bit because I don't know, Shiggy, if it was as I don't know as interesting to you. Like after I saw Titanic, that was the first time I think I'd ever heard about it. Like when I saw the movie, and then I became like totally obsessed with it.
I think I first learned about the Ella Fitzgerald. That was the first like big boat sink I learned about in
Oh,
school. Because I think it sunk in Lake Superior, which is like by where I'm from.
oh, okay.
But then like yeah, I think I learned about the Titanic next.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the three sister ships of the Titanic as well because the fucking White Star Line was just cursed as fuck. So don't go on anything. I don't think the White Star Line exists anymore, but it's probably for the reasons we're gonna talk about. Titanic episode is a little bit important, a bit too soon. Too soon. Yeah, and I don't want it. I don't want anyone to think this is, like disrespectful. I mean all the respect. Just by talking about it, I just, thought we'd pop on here and talk about it a little bit, because like I said, I became a little bit obsessed with it after I saw the movie, because I was obsessed with the movie. Because what adolescent girl in the 90s wasn't obsessed with Leo and Kate? Still not over it. So yeah, we're gonna go over some, just like basic information, and like watch a couple of like documentaries that we may not watch all of them, but I found some cool stuff that I thought I would share. And then Shiggy and I went to Vegas last October and we saw the Titanic exhibit at the Luxor. So I was going to share the pictures I took there because there were some really interesting things. And then, yeah. And then we'll talk about some theories, like what would have happened if it hit the iceberg head on. What if the Californian hadn't been shut down for the night? These kinds of things. So come along for the journey. Bring your questions if you have anything you want to like cover about it. But yeah, I think we're just going to jump right into it and let people come in because I don't think this is a topic that people don't know about. But I don't know, a couple months ago I went down this deep rabbit hole of watching real-time animations of ships sinking. I don't know, is that a normal thing? Let me move to my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, I thought we'd start there. Obviously not going to watch all. Oh, Shiggy's gone.
Surprise.
Surprise, things don't work. Okay, there. Oh, now it doesn't work.
Ooh, I'm all stretcho.
Is it because I'm moving the window up to cover it?
Maybe.
Oh my god, you're so dumb. Okay, there it is. Everyone, it's okay. It's alright. Alright. So yeah, I think we're just gonna I'll skip around the real time animations because they are in real time and it took the Titanic 2 hours and 45 minutes to sink. So we aren't going to sit here for the whole time, but they are really cool, and I will be posting this to YouTube as I normally do. If you aren't following me there, there's where you can follow me. I will be posting this, and I'll have all the links that I use. I can also post them in my Discord, which if you're not in my Discord, there's the Discord. But I will post all the links if you do want to watch these on your own time, because they are really interesting, if not a bit morbid. But here's about the Titanic. We'll just start here and go from here. All right. They also have a bit of like facts at the beginning, so in case there's things you don't know, just come along on this learning journey together. Oh, wow. So at 9:45 p.m. if you want to get real with it.
Yeah, I guess we should reschedule.
Ah, shit, let's come back.
9:45.
MySpace. Man, I miss MySpace. Nothing has come close to the novelty of MySpace for me. I had a really sweet background. It looked kind of like that with all the stars. So have we, I guess we've already hit the iceberg.
No, I don't think so.
No? 11:36 p.m. Oh, here we go. I'll try to pay attention and make sure our cameras aren't covering things. So the lookout fleet begins to notice a haze growing on the horizon, but cannot discern if it is anything to be alarmed about. His view is obstructed by a cold air mirage, which they do talk about that in the movie, which I'm going to reference because I think most people have probably seen it. They talk about like there's no breaking water at the base, and like it being very glassy like this is a bad thing, and that's why they were like, you know, they weren't supposed to be going as fast as they were. So, and they were getting ice warnings left and right. There were not a lot of ships in the area, but they were all going like much slower than the Titanic. But imagine getting woken up like this. Like most people, or a lot of people, are sleeping. It's like almost midnight. You just trying to get to New York. And they're just tooling along. And then, you know, when they finally see it, they don't have enough time to react. So we'll talk about what could have happened if they had just hit the thing. Because only, like, they could only take up to 5 compartments full of water. And so the fact that it just, like, scraped along the bottom was its downfall. But if they had just hit it, maybe only, like, 3 compartments would have flooded. And they could have lasted till someone could come get them. Here, how about I play it at... I'll play it at a little bit faster speed. We'll see how fast this is. Alright, so keep in mind that I do have this on, but if you do want to watch it in real time, the link will be available to you. Now you can barely see that thing. I remember looking up how much, like how big was the iceberg? I think it's like the size of Manhattan or something. The iceberg was 50 to 100 feet above water, and then it's like 200 to 400 feet underwater.
What is it? Iceberg, sir. I put her hard to starboard and reverse the engines, but she was too close.
It's like they're speaking Simlish.
Stop engine. Stop engine.
Yeah.
Suppose so.
So. Yeah, so they're all like, oh, okay, like we're gonna hit this. Oh, they've already hit it.
Yeah.
It's just too late. Ship's too big with too small a rudder, as they say in the movie. Which is true. It just, it didn't have the time to turn that it needed. They were going so fast. This is why caution, people, caution. Trying to see, like, in comparison to modern day something, how 400 feet in length, 100 feet above the water. So very, very large. All the poor people in the boiler room had no chance either.
Yeah.
There are some people, like some survivor accounts, where they like, I felt it, and there are other people that say they didn't feel it at all. Depend on, like, it's such a massive ship that, like, even like passengers didn't feel it, depending on where they were. And it's just crazy to me that, like, something that people didn't even feel could do such catastrophic damage and be ultimately the loss of 1,500 lives.
Yeah, this is pretty much why I don't want to go on cruises.
This probably wouldn't happen anymore. I'm going to say
It's
probably,
like
but
it's like why take the it's like skydiving, right? Like
I
why
will never
take the
go
risk?
skydiving.
Going on cruises is, in my opinion, more dangerous than skydiving.
I mean, it's more about the environment, I guess, why I do want to go on a cruise. Like, I've wanted to go on the Alaska cruise, like, forever, just because my uncle went on it when I was a kid and it looked like so much fun. But it's before I knew about cruises and the Titanic and all the other ships that have sunk. And
It's
then
like
it's just,
why invite disaster,
yeah.
Like you're pretty much going like you can't get me if you're
Well,
on the water like in a big ship.
they really were with the Titanic. Like, if you believe in bad fucking juju, the Titanic, like, it's
Yeah,
unsinkable. Like, Bruce Ismay was like, you want to get there, like, retire with a bang, because
is
it
Bruce
was.
Ismay like from the movie or
No, he's a real person. Bruce Ismay
oh
is I don't want to say the wrong thing, because as much as I have read about it, I don't want to pretend that I am a historian or anything. But I want to say he's the head of the White Star Line, so he's on the maiden voyage of the Titanic, right?
oh so he's dead.
No, he's the guy. You
Oh,
remember in the movie, he's the guy that gets in the lifeboat, and like the guy's like, okay, like, I guess. But he's the one that, like, makes the cap, or not makes him, but he influences him to go faster, and so that he can, arrive early and surprise people, because that was a really big thing. It was like the space race of the
right.
1900s, the ship stuff. It was like a really big deal.
It
And
must have been
so,
so boring in the 1900s.
right.
If this is like what you're looking forward to. It's gonna
Yeah, it
be
was just,
here in 4 months. Oh my gosh. I guess I'll just bounce this stick up and down.
I'm gonna see, how long was the
Oh, there's.
Titanic journey supposed to be? 137 hours.
Oh wow, that's not really. That's like very not a lot of time. That's what, like a week? No. Yeah, it's like 5 days,
7 days.
right? Yeah. Okay. So a week
Yeah.
to go from where to where?
From Queenstown, or I guess they go to Cherbourg, really. It's the last place in Europe they go. And then so France.
France
They
to.
start from Queenstown, I think, and then they take a little pit stop in Cherbourg and pick up like Molly Brown, I think is where that's where they pick her up, the unsinkable Molly Brown. And then, so yeah, I guess France is technically like the last place it goes.
It was going to New York,
And
right?
it was going to New York.
Yeah.
And
Well, France to New York in a week by ship. I didn't think you could do that.
yeah,
In 1900, anyway.
I mean, it was a really big deal because everybody was, it was, you know, like immigration was a huge problem for people because they couldn't get to A to B and they felt stuck. So that's why there's, you know, like steerage.
And they moved from France to New York, which has me confused. They're like, ugh, it's so pretty here. I wish there was rats everywhere.
Well, think about, like, you have to take the lens off, right? Because now we're
Right.
every time I worked with a girl once that I'll skip around a little bit here. She was from Romania, and the place she was from, I don't remember the town name or anything, but it looked like it was like legit on a postcard, like from Christmas Town. You know, it was just like, you moved from there to here? Like, no.
Yeah, grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Right, right. So America was a relatively new thing in 1912. Not a new, you know what I mean, though, like in comparison to like Europe, but you know, like it
Yeah.
was the, you know, the land nobody really knew
Everybody
about.
up, get back, get your life belts on.
Get your life belts on.
Everybody up, get back, get your life
So it's
belts on.
midnight. Yeah, there's not enough lifeboats. That's also something that happened in Silver Lining, that after the Titanic sank, there were, you know, they kind of did an overhaul of all the safety regulations, and, you know, they were like, no, you have to have enough lifeboats for everybody after this. And,
Probably before this they should have, but yeah.
well,
At least after.
Titanic legit had more lifeboats than it needed, like as far as the like stipulation goes. They were like over the limit of like what they needed. I don't know. Like, I don't know why it would ever be a thing to not have enough lifeboats for everyone. And that's worrying.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah. But imagine being Andrews and just knowing that this is done. This is done. We're done here. And it just seems so surreal that like something that large, I can get it. I would never test the fate here by being like, it's unsinkable. Like, don't do that. I don't believe in like a higher power or anything, but you're just like testing fate. That's scary.
You're testing fate every time you sail across an ocean. Like,
Yeah.
and no matter how safe anything claims to be,
And
it's
then
like
you're gonna add the bad
you could
juju.
you could crash, and if you crash, nobody can hear you.
Yeah, and if they can, like the Californian, we're going to talk more about later. The Californian was the closest ship to the Titanic, but they had shut off their wireless for the night. I think they were either going really slow or they had stopped for the night. I can't remember, but we'll look at it later. But I read a bunch of theories that were just like, oh my God, they like let the Titanic sink, and it's just not that easy. Like they had to, even if they had gotten the message, say, they were going too slow. That's why I can't remember if they were going too slow or if they had stopped, but it would have taken them a long time to get going again. So they wouldn't have probably reached them in time anyway, which is unfortunate, but they were the closest ship. I read like an article that I didn't include because I wasn't sure how real it was. I tried to vet things as closely as I could, but you know, the internet. But I read another article that was like a ghost ship was in between the California and the Titanic, but I don't know how true that is. So we're at 12:13. We're still kind of listing. First distress call is sent at 12:30. They got the band going so people aren't freaking out. I'd be freaking out a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Like, when your boat starts looking like that, you're not in good shape. So 12:30, it's been like 45-ish minutes. Yeah, CQD, which is just a distress call, I believe. Let me look up what exactly it means. CQD is a general call to all vessels indicating the vessel is in distress and requires immediate assistance. At the time of the Titanic sinking, the Marconi Wireless Company's CQD was still in common use, although it had been officially replaced by the well-known SOS, which does not mean save our souls. Which, let me look up what it means. Because I remember reading that and being like, oh, well, that's what I've thought this whole time. SOS stands for Save Our Ship.
Mm-hmm.
Same meaning. Yeah, they got the band going now. Not sure that would make me feel much better, but what else are you gonna do? See, this guy was still sleeping. Officer Lowe finally wakes up in his cabin due to the noise outside. Didn't even know what was going on. Like, that's just wild to me. But there's probably still people at this point that don't know what's going on. Like, I would have been long asleep. I would have been like, huh? Like, what's going on? It's just, yeah. That's one hell of a way to get woken up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think we're getting the lifeboats all. First distress call sent. Carpathia makes contact. Do you know that MCC is sending a batch of messages for you? Probably not. We have struck a berg. CQD. Thomas Andrews on sea deck. Taking the toll of the damage. Which he probably doesn't need to do to tell you it's not good. Shall I tell my captain? Do you require... Yeah, I require assistance. Please. What do you think CQD means? Yes. Come quick. I wonder how far the Carpathia was. How far was the Carpathia? I think they were the only ones like really responding. They were 58 miles away from the Titanic. Dressed in our best and prepared to go down as gentlemen. I'm trying to see how far, like how long. Isn't the I'm not sure if the Carpathia. I think it's the one that actually rescued them. How long does it take to how long does it take? The weirdest framed question. 3 hours away. The Carpathia was 3 hours away. And I'm pretty sure that was this ship that saved the survivors. So they're communicating with some people. Strauss refuses to leave. This F deck staircase begins flooding around 12:42. So like an hour after it hits.
Hurry. There's no time to waste! Lower away! Lower away! Hey! Get out of the way, you fool! Do you want me to drown a lot of them? You know who I am. You're a passenger and I'm a ship's bloody officer. Now do as you're told!
It's just so late, too. But I think maybe you should probably have someone on call for the wireless. And maybe that was the thing that happened after this. I hope so anyway, because like, I don't know, again, like I don't know if it would have helped at all, but there were a lot of factors, you know, the ice being a major one. Alright, so, yep, I can't believe they did that too. Just underfilling most lifeboats. So lifeboats are away. They can see the Carpathia. Imagine that.
Yes. So what about that ship over there? About 10 miles away. You can see a light. Isn't she replying? No, well, she's not barriers, hasn't she, dead? Maybe she can't keep a 24-hour watch. Maybe she hasn't got wireless at all. All right, thank you. Mr. Moody, tell Mr. Boxall to fire the distress rocket. One every 5 minutes from the port side. Right.
So this, I believe the audio you're hearing is from the movie called The Night of. I think they did use some from the 1997 movie from earlier too. There's the Californian. So lifeboats are away. They can see the Carpathia. Like, imagine like seeing that and being like, oh, like thank God I can like see it, but it's still it's just not enough. So they start firing distress rockets in the air for better visibility. Hope, maybe someone who hasn't answered could see it. Yes, quick, very quick. So eject begins flooding at 12:50. Yep. No one was close enough to them, just... Boat 3 is launched, so lifeboat's starting to dwindle. Probably shouldn't have a rule that's men and women first, or like women and children first, where it's like, well, not
Maybe we should try that
everybody.
new distress call. SOS. It may be our only chance to use it.
SOS. To send them all. To send all the distress signals. So there's like another hour left. Or like halfway through before this just completely is gone. It's just wild.
For the time being, I shall require only women and children.
Yeah, if that's a rule, I'm not really into it.
Definitely a rule.
Not into it.
Yeah.
Cause like, I'm not gonna leave you, like, that would suck. No, I'm not
Well,
doing that.
You definitely would if we were on the Titanic.
Not if you're the Strausses. The Strausses, were like, nah, we're gonna, as we've lived our lives, so we shall die together, I think is along the lines of what they said. I guess it would depend if there were children involved, because, yikes.
Yeah.
That's a decision I don't want to make. It's like a Sophie's Choice moment, not into it.
It's fine. It'd be cool to die on a shipwreck. That's very manly.
It's fine. I mean, you gotta take your chances in the like sub-zero temperature waters. It's fine.
Oh no, I would die. Like, there's no chance, right?
No chance.
No.
Not in these waters, anyway. I mean, I don't know if it would be a... Then you have to worry about sharks. Like, that's, like, I've read about certain things that have happened, like, with shipwrecks and, like, shark attacks and shit. I'm like, no. So, like, even if you survive because the waters aren't as cold or whatever, like, you still gotta worry about... It's probably too cold for sharks here, but it wouldn't matter because you would die very, very quickly in these waters. I mean, there are survivors they found from the water, and I don't know how. We got some more boats on this side, but we're starting to list pretty bad. So the boats on this side are starting to get launched. Boiler room floods at 1:11 a.m. starting to look very, very not good. But it also looks like nothing has, like, it doesn't look like it's getting worse either, because you're like, oh, like, if I were on, I'd be like, oh, maybe it's just, like, gonna look like that. It's just not good, but, like, we might be okay.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, like, as you watch it, even this is, like, a 1.5 speed, it's still just like, oh, okay, this hasn't, like, gotten too much more horrible, but it all goes to hell really, really fast.
Yeah.
Once those compartments go, it's just so fast. I was thinking about that part in the movie too, where like Kathy Bates is like just watching it, like you don't see that every day. Just imagine being the people in the lifeboats too. Like you know you're probably going to be safe if you can survive the night in the cold, but
Yeah.
watching it happen.
Well, they don't even need to survive the night, right? Because that other ship is only like an hour away.
They have to survive for like 3 hours, 4 hours. So yeah,
That's easy. Like they're not in the water, at least. You could. I don't know if you could survive 3 hours in the water.
people did. I mean, there was only like 7 people rescued from the water. So I don't know how
Yikes.
those 7 even survived, you know? Like that's, I don't know how. Even like holding on to something, it's still just so cold out there. Maybe they were like a Kate Winslet situation, like not in the water at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
It's definitely
just
getting
start
worse.
going. Yeah, it's getting now. Yeah, this is a good view where you're just like, oh, yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. Grand staircase levels of water. Not great. People are starting to panic. As they would.
Probably should have done that a while ago.
I think they're, you know, the fucking front of the boat's in the water almost. It's just like, oh, this is really bad. Like, this is really, really bad. I think this is when you start losing kind of like, oh, this is going down kind of moment. I think this is when it starts to happen. So like still just letting, I mean,
What's the matter?
Hey, Doc! We haven't got one sailor in this boat!
Are there any fair hands here? I'll go.
and there are still people, like a lot of people still in steerage right now.
Right to that line.
Yeah, they have the rich people first, you know.
Yeah. Obviously. They're much more valuable to society. Who else is
That's a
going to take our
fucking
money?
way to go, man. That is a way to go. I think there are some people though that survived in air pockets as well. I don't know too much about that, but we can look
Doesn't
into
it like break in half?
Yeah, but like I don't know. It was like when I was looking up survivor stories to show. I was just reading survival. I just went down like a survivor story rabbit hole, and like a few people survived like in air pockets after the ship sunk.
No.
Which lucky doesn't begin to describe that. I mean, just some. I have a few like shorter survivor stories, but if you just ever want to go down a rabbit hole one day, there are some crazy stories from this night, as you might imagine. Okay, so getting pretty bad. Lifeboats are going. 9 and 12 are launched. Boat 11's launched, so I think there's not very many left. The list, very bad. Alright, Sorry, that was a little much music. Cam says, "Get all your boats ready, sinking, like, hurry, please, like, really bad." 1:36, not much time left at all. I think it goes down right before 2 a.m. Wow, they are still receiving and sending messages. That's fucking crazy. I guess they probably do until the lights go off.
They're at the top.
Yeah,
They're not down in the boiler room.
Which, like, that's a whole nother level of scary that the lights go out and stuff. Like, oh. Just lit, like, pitch black out there dealing with, like, a nightmare. Just this pure nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Completely pitch black in the middle, dealing with a shipwreck. It's gonna be a no from me. Yeah, front of the boat, pretty much underwater right now. Starting to be able to see the propellers in the back. Well, you can't see because of our cameras, but back end starting to lift out of the water a little bit. D-deck reception room starting to go. Let me turn this down because it's probably gonna start getting pretty loud. Still sending messages. Yeah. There's just no stopping it. You can't do anything. You see, could put more people on there. 30 if it's 65 seats. Like, why?
They're panicking.
I guess. Yeah. Alright, forget the rockets. Oh, yeah, they show that in the movie, which would also be very, very scary. Just like another boat coming on top of you.
Yeah.
It's too late for that.
At that point, just jump off the
Fool.
boat, like dive into the ocean. They have to pick you up, right?
Nope. Because
if they
don't.
30 seats free on the lifeboat, they better.
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons they don't go back immediately. Is that everyone would start swamping the boat. And
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be worried about that here. But also, like, you would have to sit out in the cold in wet clothes if you did that, and that's something I would try to avoid.
Better than literally dying immediately because you're gonna get drowned.
You're gonna get knocked out.
Slightly better than drowning within 2 minutes.
There's just no good scenarios here besides being in these lifeboats. That's it.
The potential upside for doing any boat stuff at any time is like, ooh, we get to be in a boat. That's like, I don't understand. Like, it is so dangerous.
Yeah.
It's so dangerous. It's like equal. It's equal to flying in an airplane.
Oh my
It's
God,
like
no,
that reckless, which I
no.
believe flying in airplanes is reckless too. But I do it right. Like,
I hate it.
But I don't think I would voluntarily like get on a boat.
Well, you're a guy. Like, I'm fine if I, like.
Well, yeah, that leads. Like, that's why I don't want to get on boats.
I get that.
Because it's for you. You're like, I could be noble and choose not to die, or like I could choose to die if I'd like. It's for me. It's like,
I'm dying.
well, fuck.
Pretty much, yeah.
boats hit. Sick. Okay, didn't think it would be like this, but alright. Like, that's the only option I have. There is no, like, choice.
Yeah, because I think that's like just the rule. I think that's still
Yes,
the
it
rule.
is the rule. Women and children first. In any
Well, then let's have
disaster
enough
scenario,
for the
right? It's
men,
not a
too.
boat. Like, any disaster scenario, it's women and children first.
We're the most important in every other aspect of life. I guess it's a fair trade.
I mean, I think it's more like... I always thought of it... I didn't think about it being sexist, really, except as a joke. I more thought about it like women can procreate, so, like,
Well,
it's more
that's-
important to save them
that's
than
why.
it is men.
That's
and
why.
there's also more men than women, so, like, objectively, like, kind of makes more sense to save the women and children. Now, children, I don't know about. Like, I don't... That's just
What
because
are
they're,
they
like,
doing?
precious and small, right? But, like, as far as women, I do agree with that. Children, I don't know.
I don't know. I could take or leave them.
Yeah. You can make more of them.
All right, so like imagine
What's the-
being in
you-
this,
you-
like being in this boat, like looking at that, like, oof.
Well, what if you were like a 15-year-old, or like, when's the cutoff when they're like, hey, get out of that boat, even though you're a guy, but you're like 15? They're like, no. When's your birthday?
Yeah, I don't
You're
know.
like, what's the date I say to get on the boat?
Like, I don't know. How old do you think I am?
But I guess in 1900, the frame of a child is much more different, right? Like, you were a child until you were like 11, and then you had to go work in the coal mines. So, like, children are a lot... I think you can be older and be a child still nowadays.
Well, now,
Like,
yeah.
the cutoff
but
for
in
adult is like,
1912?
what, 18? But in
Yeah.
1912, 18, you're like halfway done with your life.
Yikes. It's a big yikes.
I think you have a right click on my...
Oh, yeah, I was trying to... Okay. Fix the volume. I saw you were going in the red, but I think it's because I had you turned up
Yeah.
because
Oh,
from
good. So I'll
earlier.
probably be really loud the whole, like, beginning. That's,
Sorry
that's
if that
good.
happened, but I just noticed it. I can't believe that, like, they're still sending wireless. I just... No.
Yeah, they're up on the top. They're on the very top of the boat.
It's still working, and then, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
It's
going...
like completely independent.
I'm gonna peace out. Like, I mean, I guess they're guys. I don't know. Like, maybe they're just...
Yeah, they're not piecing out anywhere. They're the crew, which is like men that are passengers leave before the crew leaves. Like, the crew goes down with the boat.
I mean, yeah, the wireless
like,
the
might
wireless
as
people
well,
are
right?
heroes too, man. Like they're sending messages right up until the very last second.
Yeah.
One last time for anyone else, like
Take them down.
43 of its 40 seats taken, yeah.
I'll sit on someone's lap. Like, come on, like, let's go. Try to just pile people in there. Propellers are fully out of the water. No replies from the Carpathia for some reason. I'm not sure like what all the acronyms mean, to be honest, or I would explain or try to.
Yeah, I don't know either.
They're all like the ship names and code. Alright, power begins to fade. So they order everybody to the back. Try to straighten
should
her
be-
up, which not gonna help.
That should
but-
be heavier than water.
I mean, what else? I mean, it's the only thing you can do. Okay, so Titanic is MGY. I want to say MGC is probably the Carpathia based on the last message saying that they were the only ones to really contact them. Yeah, but fully out of the water now in the back. Still calling CQD after 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Ship is going down rapidly. I was wrong. I thought it went down right before 2 a.m., but we're at 2 a.m. And there's like 15 minutes left, so I guess it goes down shortly before 3.
And how much did this thing cost?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Like the company that was hoping to make money off of this got fucked.
How much did Titanic cost? And her maiden voyage too, $7.5 million, which is 200.
And 1900.
Which
so
is $200 million with inflation.
yeah, it's like 1/4 of a Marvel movie, man.
They
It's just
started-
gone.
They started building it in 1909, so it took 3 years to build. Just for it to go
And they
down.
just sank it in like an hour. Good job.
It's a very, I don't want to say good lesson, but it is a lesson in humility and
It's
humbleness.
a hard lesson.
It's a hard lesson.
But one that probably should be like taken seriously, and I did take it seriously
most
because I
serious.
don't ever get on boats.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because of this and Ella Fitzgerald. Like, no, thanks. I'm good.
Look at that. Like, just. Pretty crazy.
Well, at least they're trying to find out what's going on at the Baltic.
At least we're doing this in the middle of the Arctic Ocean.
Is it the Arctic Ocean?
Mm-hmm. They're going from France to
France
New
to
York.
New York. I thought
Yeah.
that was Atlantic.
Oh,
I don't know, but
No,
I'm
no,
so
you're
bad
right.
at.
You're right.
I'm
It's
so
just
bad
north.
at,
you're right. I don't know
I
where
don't
the
even know where
cutoff is
the-
though. Like like where's the Arctic start in the Atlantic?
Arctic is like by, it's way up there. It's by like Greenland and like.
Okay. We're
the
sort of
top
close to that, but not close enough, I think, to be considered the Arctic. It's pretty
yeah,
fucking cold,
It's
though.
North Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, we're getting close to the Arctic, but not Arctic yet.
I think you have to be above Greenland to be in the Arctic Ocean,
Okay, I
like
guess
by
that's super close.
Antarctica.
We're also doing this. So I guess it's April, which is still crazy to me that like it's still that cold, but I guess it would be. Maybe it always is because it's cold enough up there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure like the climate is way different out in the middle of the ocean.
Still sending CQD. 2:09 a.m. Really like the added screams going on here. Now it's not terrifying at all on the headphones. We are sinking fast. Passengers are being put into boats. Ugh. Okay, here, everyone. Viewer discretion. Probably should have started with that, but you know, we are talking about the Titanic.
Boat sinking, like, yeah, that's not going to be like, oh dang.
Yeah, right. Tossing deck chairs over, like, for people to use because he knows it's going down. Like, this is just, oh, getting my stomach hurt. So at 2:10, we have 10 minutes. We'll watch it just so this is the longest 10 minutes of these people's lives, probably.
That's the people on the boat.
Yeah. Well,
Like
even
the
for them.
lifeboats.
Yeah. Oh God, I always think about, I think about this weirdly a lot, like just being the people in the lifeboats. Like, you can't do anything. You can't do anything.
Yeah,
Some of
nobody
them
can
know
really
that,
do
like, people
anything.
they care about are on that boat, too. Like, it destroys me to know that that would be just too hard for me to do.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit there and watch that like knowing like you were still on that boat or something. I'd
Which is why we have not gone on a cruise.
like
Because I'm not about that.
and then like I don't want to go down that way either. Like this is a horrible way to go. It's entirely preventable, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves.
Was this preventable though? Like,
Yes.
I don't think it was.
Yes. They could have been going a lot slower. They had more time to react. They could have.
Sure.
There was a lot of things they could have done. They should not have been going as fast as they were.
If it's not this boat at this time, it's some boat at some time hitting something and going down and causing reform. Like,
okay,
it's
like
bound
accidents
to happen.
but like this was preventable in the sense that like nobody was going this fast in this area. Nobody was. Oh, now they got this.
That's like saying airplane crashes are preventable. Like, they are, but they also are going to happen. Like, you are being risky. If you're chancing fate like this, sometimes it will bite back. Like, you can't be perfect all of the time.
But like, don't be going like the equivalent of like 50 miles per hour when it's like raining on the road, like hydroplaning and all that. Like, you know, like there are things you could do. This doesn't happen very regularly.
Not regularly,
So
but
it's
it
like-
definitely happens.
I think that there were definitely things that they did wrong, like going too fast, primarily.
There's a really good Down the Rabbit Hole, which is talking about the Battle of May Island. I don't know if you know about that.
I don't.
It's about the British naval army. Like, they end up firing on their own fleet because it's so foggy and they can't see, and like people aren't reporting their positions correctly, and like a lot of people die, like a lot, because they're like shooting each other because they think it's like German U-boats, and then it's like crazy. It's good. It's like 2 hours long, but it's really good
Yeah,
if
I'd
you're
not
into
heard of
like
that.
naval disasters. And that's not like the fault of a person, right? Like just some guy wanting to go faster and they don't see an iceberg. It's like coordinated, like failure.
So I know we're going too fast to read this. Like I said, I will share the links to this in Discord and on the YouTube video so you can watch this on your own time. And I would like to credit, obviously, like this is an incredible animation of a very terrifying thing.
Yeah,
But-
this must have taken like hours and hours
Oh,
and hours
yeah.
and hours and hours
Yeah.
and hours to get right.
So yeah, see how fast it starts going. Like in 10 minutes, just completely is gone. After taking 2.5 hours to slowly sink, it just goes to fucking hell in 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's a
Ooh,
point
like,
of like no return. Like
Yeah.
after you have taken on too much water.
oh my
you can't
god,
really-
DL. Yes, so that was the game I wanted to play for my Let's Play, and I'm having issues with it. I fucking love that game. And I'm going to have Shiggy look at it because I still really want to play it for y'all. But it just, for some reason, screws it all up when I put it in Streamlabs. Ugh, the breaking apart is just like, oh my god.
Bye-bye.
Imagine being on this boat.
Nobody's on this boat anymore. Everybody fell
I mean,
off
if they're
and
hanging
is
on the back,
dead.
like in the movie, you know, like there's still people on this boat. Because you want to stay on this as long as possible, because you don't, you know, like, I mean, your best chances, right? Being in that water, being out of that water for as long as you possibly can. But like, there are people like in there, like not even on the deck, you know? Ugh, it's just
Yeah.
rough. I'm on board a sinking country. I feel that. It's just wild. And then it like bobs there. Like it's like that fucking ride at Six Flags or what, you know, Inter theme park here where it like takes, it's like the tall tower that takes you all the way up to the top, and then like you're at the
Yeah.
mercy of the asshole operator that's like, ooh, oh, okay, we're gonna go down. So 2:20 a.m. 2 hours, 45 minutes it takes.
Aye.
So yeah, it's Titanic Animations is the channel if you would like to look it up now. But like I said, I will share the links at a later time because I have it all put up here. But yeah, that is pretty wild. And I came across that a few months ago and wanted to start with that just so you could get a visual because that's a really hard thing. You know, even if you've seen the movie, kind of it's movie, right? But I think the real time animations are really interesting, terrifying, and really have another way of putting something like that in perspective. But yeah, go check them out. They have a few others. This one just had like good facts at the beginning. We're not going to watch another one, but I just liked the facts here. Like Southampton, England was where it like started from, and then it went to Cherbourg.
Is it still going 1.5?
Hold on, let me make sure.
I can't read this stuff. It's that fast.
No, it's at normal, but I can pause it too and read it.
No, it's fine.
So they, like slowly increased their speed and altered the ship's course to take a more southern route
to avoid ice. That's funny.
But they still were going pretty fast for the area. Sharp drop in temperature going into Sunday. Crew on watch in the crow's nest, which is like the lookout, told to keep a sharp lookout for ice and growlers, which I'm not sure what those are actually. Lookout fleet at 11:30, so 11:30 p.m. is when it all starts. Notice a haze on the horizon. 11:30, and then right before. Huh?
Is this like a different animation? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's like the same channel, but it's a remastered version that they did.
Okay.
So, yeah. The other one I put first just because I had actually watched that one. But, yeah, this is just a remastered version of the one we just watched, pretty much.
Spotted the berg is
And it had a lot of voiceover, too, so I didn't want to, talk over it.
To their drinks and card games afterward.
I don't like this guy's voice. I don't know why.
The worst part of it is that you could technically survive this, but still die in the water because it was so cold.
Lawrence
Right.
Beasley had left his cabin to investigate.
But we talked about that because it was like. But then I've read about other shipwrecks where like they had to deal with like shark attacks and shit because like they're, they had life belts or whatever, so they were still alive, but getting eaten by sharks, too. I'm just like nah. But yeah. I'll just skip around this so you can see the...
There's a lot of reasons to not go in the middle of the ocean.
Within a few minutes,
like a ton.
Passengers walking about the corridors outside, wanting to know why.
But yeah, I didn't put this one as the one that we watched mostly because he has a lot of voiceover, which is great when you're watching it by yourself. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to talk over him too. But yeah, as you see, like the quality is really much better. Struck iceberg. I'll just like skip through this one though. Oh yeah, here's like a animation of the bow going under.
This had to like melt this person's computer.
You'd have to have like a quantum computer.
The passengers and crew on board Boat 15 notice that the port list is continuing to grow as the side of their lifeboat begins to rub alongside the Titanic's hull during their descent. This would cause the boat to be damaged or even break from bumping along the thousands of rivets along the Titanic's side. They make attempts to push the boat away from the hull when needed. A man jumps down from the boat deck and lands on a woman in Boat 15.
Oh.
He breaks several of her ribs.
Thanks. Now you're dealing with broken ribs in a lifeboat. Thanks.
And he informs the operators that Titanic was not going to last much longer. The engine rooms were taking on water and the dynamos might not last. It is currently not known where Captain Smith received this information, as the engine room at this time was still dry.
Oh.
He may have been estimating the amount of flooding when delivering this report.
So it's like another hour before it goes down totally.
Yeah.
There's still like 1,500 people in this boat.
Feeders. She could see water pouring into open portholes at the waterline on sea deck as they began to pull away. At around this time approximately, Officer Lightoller is reported by some sources to have removed a group of male passengers from Boat D with a revolver. The remaining crew on the boat deck form a line and interlock their arms together to prevent men from swamping the lifeboat.
Yeah, when that's the rule, that's just what you're going to run into.
Yeah, there's gonna be some pushback.
Oh, yeah. Not great.
Side and observes Murdoch and his crew attempting to free Collapsible A from the funnel wire. Lightoller then strolls forward before diving off the front of the bridge.
Oh, is that what happened?
Goodbye.
Wow. I guess he's the one who's in the movie. He's depicted as shooting himself, but I know that there's a lot of discrepancy around if he actually did that or not. But I guess either way, he
Titanic
did
takes
kill
a sharp
himself.
dip down, rights herself, then dips again, and the result is a wave that washes itself over the deck as Titanic continues to pick up speed in her descent.
Ugh. I don't necessarily need this in better definition. Makes my stomach hurt.
Titanic's power suddenly fails, plunging the ship and everyone around it into darkness.
It's kind of a marvel
There are
that it
some
took that
reports
long for the
emergency
electricity to go
lighting
out.
continued to stay on at this time.
Yeah.
But the
That's
overwhelming
wild.
majority of those on the boats stated that the ship went completely black.
Ugh. If it couldn't get more terrifying, it just did.
After reaching a high angle, the ship's keel fully fails, and the ship breaks.
Not
The
great.
stern remained afloat, by some estimates, for up to a full 5 minutes before sinking again. The water was able to easily bypass the watertight doors and bulkheads due to the hull being ripped away from the inner deck structure during the break.
That might do it. You'd be so high up in the air too if you actually had managed to be on the back of that and just up in the air.
Yeah.
I wonder how tall that was.
It's like half the ship
Sounds
length.
like a whole of a time. Yuck, 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 yuck.
Good one.
Yeah. That's a no from me. Yeah, like half of the ship.
The
How
majority
long was
of
the
the passengers
Titanic?
in the boats and a few survivors on board stated that the stern sank down by the head before reaching a vertical or near vertical angle
883 feet.
before stopping
So
for a few
400
moments.
feet. The top thrill dragster. Well, you've never been to Cedar Point in Ohio, but that roller coaster is 400 feet high, and
Yeah.
me thinking being that high up off the ocean makes
So imagine-
my
yeah.
stomach hurt.
You're that high up on the back of a sinking
During this
ship.
time, she turned in a semicircular
Just how much more
fashion to
terrifying
port
could this be? The lights
until
are
her
out. It's pitch
propellers
dark.
were above the heads of those in the water near boat
God.
A and boat B.
Pitch dark. You're 500 feet up in the air. Just you're like
Not for
plunging
long, though.
towards, yeah, for like 3 to 5 minutes would probably feel like an eternity to you, and you're just hoping that thing stays afloat, but it's not going to. Not just that high up, but this would be like that high up and the roller coaster just coming to a halt in the dark, and then it goes. Yeah,
And
it's
then
like
you die.
like, and then you plunge toward how cold
2:28,
was the ocean
Titanic has finally
where
slipped beneath the
Titanic
waves.
sank? 28 degrees, which I'm
Oof.
sorry, I don't know what it is in Celsius, but
That's like around 0 degrees Celsius, I want to say. Hold on, now I gotta know. I'm so bad at everything.
I'm really bad at it. So
To Celsius. Yeah, it's -2 degrees
Yeah.
Celsius.
I know it's like 32 degrees difference, right?
Yeah, it's like 32 and other fancy shit. It's not like exactly
Other
32
fancy
because of some math or something.
That's why what I was saying earlier about how even many survivors died because the ocean was so cold. Yeah, they only pulled like 7 people out of the water who had managed to somehow survive, but it was 1,500 people went down with the ship, and most of them did not make it.
How many people total were on the ship?
2250.
Hmm.
How many
So they saved like a quarter.
passengers on the Titanic? 2240. So 2,240. 1,500 people lost their lives. So like half.
Yeah. No, it's
No?
more than half. It's like
More than half.
75%. Yeah. It's like 3/4. About. So they did not do a good job saving people.
No. Oh, and we don't have to watch all of this. I just thought they had really interesting animations.
2.5 miles down, at the bottom of the Atlantic. Now, a new investigation is about to drain the ocean, pull the plug of the Atlantic, and reveal the wreck. The Titanic, as she's never been seen
But
Is
you
that,
got this-
is that 2000s animation right here?
Yeah. It's National Geographic, so they got the money.
Not previously visible.
I just thought it was really interesting. The visuals were really cool.
To damage from the iceberg that sliced her open. A team of scientists equipped with cutting-edge tools now tackles the long-standing mysteries of the disaster that could rewrite the Titanic story.
Are there mysteries in this?
Drained dry.
I guess so.
Is the
I thought this was pretty like covered.
as you've never seen it before.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe their version of mysteries. It's like what could have had. Like, not sure.
It's the most infamous ship in
Is
all
that actual video footage?
I think so.
the Titanic. From a time when ships are racing to be the biggest, fastest, and best. The RMS Titanic is a technological marvel. When she set sail in 1912, she's the largest moving man-made object on the planet. An
Weak.
unsinkable ship.
Don't say it more. It was-
1,000 miles
Oh yeah,
into her
this
maiden
visual
voyage.
was
So it got, like,
particularly
what?
helpful.
They
Three
got more
quarters
than
of the way.
halfway. Dang. Too bad.
1,500 passengers and crew dragged down to the icy depths. And more than a century later, we still don't know exactly what happened that night.
Really?
How she sank and broke apart.
I think we do know.
Hundreds of passengers and crew witnessed
Apparently
the
not.
tragedy and lived to tell the tale. Yet countless unanswered questions
That's Bruce
remain.
Ismay.
We have lots of historic
Captain Smith
information
on the right.
but often there are biases in those historical accounts. Even the eyewitnesses of the sinking of Titanic had many different perceptions of how that sinking took place. So the best way to unravel some of those questions is to use science.
Imagine.
Explorers first
This guy's, like,
discovered
way
the
too
Titanic's
happy
wreckage
discussing
in
a
September
shipwreck.
1985.
There's been people like that. I've been watching a trial. You're way too happy to find. I mean, I guess that would be
That's like your dream, though, right? Like
They've
that's
been looking
different. It's
for
a
it.
different perspective
Yeah,
for
they've
them. They're
been-
not like thinking about the tragedy. They're thinking about the science to like
Right.
find out what happened.
2.5 miles down.
Still, it's macabre,
This is a
but
place as alien.
Yeah.
somebody's got to do
I don't know
it,
if I would
right?
be cheering too much, but
I
guess
think
I
you
get
would
it.
if you were
Maybe.
on a Titanic, like a recovery team or something.
Especially since they looked for this shit for a really long time. Hold on.
Yeah.
They looked for the, I mean, if that was the footage of them actually finding it, I guess I get it. But like,
Or even find the edges of
it took them a long time for them to find the
Yeah.
wreckage.
It was like recent, right?
It's relatively.
It's like 1990s or late 80s or something like that.
73 years
Yeah.
it took them to find this
Yeah.
fucking boat.
That's crazy that it was just like
Yeah, it's
gone.
It's like getting close to completing a 10K piece puzzle. Yeah.
yeah.
73 years after it sank, they found it. That's wild.
critical clues to understanding the disaster still lurk in this darkness.
You would think the people that like were eyewitnesses
Now
would be
it's
like
scientists
able to
funded
help
by
them
No.
pinpoint it.
the wreck.
Could you?
RMS
You're not a
Titanic.
maritime person, you know? It's
But
like,
maritime people like lived, right? Like at least one.
Or
I
at
would
least the
think.
car
Maybe
path-
not.
Titanic into
I don't.
clear
I
light
don't
of
think
day.
so. They were just like
First
normal
time.
people on this boat. They were just, you
An
know.
epic high-tech investigation.
Oh my
to
God.
discover exactly how and why she
No,
sank.
this makes me so uncomfortable. I think I'm like
Project.
hydrophobic.
Maybe.
Use cutting-edge sonar mapping technology
I,
to scan
it's
every
just
part
like
of the wreck.
huge body of water, seeing no land. That's when I get on
It's very
Like
cast
nerved.
away,
She sits on the ocean floor.
and it's scary because they're
another
fucked.
reason I don't like going in planes.
Their data
No,
will
I
allow
no.
us to
I'm way more
virtually
scared of
view
planes.
the sea.
I hate flying.
I don't think I am because
am.
I've been on planes. I have not been on a huge boat, and I don't think I'll ever go on a huge boat.
At least
Like
you could-
I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's too like
The unsinkable Titanic.
The
I don't
trauma
know. It's
altered-
I feel like I feel like I could live in an airplane crash, and I
No,
feel like
what?
I could not live in a boat.
No, the
sinking.
opposite, dog. The opposite.
But scanning
No,
the
I
details
feel like
Fucked
you'll
if
there's
die in
ma-
it. Like your plane crashes.
there's
you're
many
dead.
more.
autonomous
No.
underwater vehicles.
Nah, dog.
AUVs.
No, you could live in a plane crash.
That's a very good point, DL. Trauma alters people's memories, though. When you're all focused on survival, it affects your ability
Yeah.
to accurately remember things. And even
For
so,
sure.
like, yeah, you're in the middle of trying not to die. Like, you're not
But there's like
focusing on where
logs
you
of
are.
communication between ships, and then there's like other ships that were talking
You
to
would
it,
think
and it
that-
told it its coordinates. Like, wasn't saying the coordinates in that video we watched?
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I was really surprised to learn that they took so long to find the wreckage.
Mowing a gigantic
They had to.
lawn.
I guess
I mean,
the
it's just
technology
such a big
wasn't there. They
area.
probably went over this area multiple
Probably.
times, but
and
like
it's
the
2.5
technology-
miles under the ocean. Like,
Right.
how do you find that?
You have to
They
have
probably
shit
knew-
like this, which you didn't have, and you know.
They probably knew like generally where it was, just hadn't found it.
Digital images of every
Like a huge, like, 20-mile radius or something, and it took them forever to look there.
I'm trying to see.
a tidal
Yeah, it's like
wave
due
of
to
new
technical
data comes to the
limitations that they
surface.
couldn't find it,
Yeah,
and the sheer vastness of the North Atlantic search area.
right. There's a reason like only 2% of the ocean has been explored or whatever.
But to see what
The
they've got
first. Oh no.
takes time. Over the next week, banks of computers crunch the raw data, turning millions
So
of
in,
sonar
in
points into a
1985
complex
is when it
model
was
of the wreck.
found.
1985.
Sort of sitting around
And
the computer when we first
This
were building
submersible that
3D
they're talking about right
layer
now,
and seeing the bow and seeing the
I guess that
stern
footage
in
we
so much
saw
detail,
was
we were
that
all sort of
submersible
grinning with this brain,
finding
looking
that
at
the
all
reason
that
they
data,
knew they found it was
seeing
because it
that for the
passed
first
over
time
one of the
was
boilers.
pretty amazing.
Hey, Michigan State
At the
University.
same time,
Whoop whoop.
visualization expert Bill Lang begins stitching together thousands of individual images of the wreck.
Wow.
A task that takes him and his team at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution 6 months to complete.
It was a very long and tedious process. There were over 200 other mosaics that were done for site interpretation and future.
Ugh, I wanted to do
archaeological work.
this like so bad, but I'm not smart enough.
This ultra high def
Even when the
imagery,
technology was
together
first
with the
there, it was
3D
insanely
scan,
expensive. That's another good point.
It's probably still
can
insanely
now
expensive.
Oh,
unlock a
sure.
new vision of the Titanic. A wreck that's been shrouded in
So it was
darkness
pretty close to the
over
Arctic. I didn't
centuries.
realize it was that high.
Yeah,
like, there's
that
Greenland.
that
right?
is pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
I mean, it's like North Atlantic. It's like getting to Arctic. Because New York's pretty high up, right? It's like pretty much Canada.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
An extraordinary landscape. Pull the plug from the Atlantic.
Anyway, I just thought these animations were like a pretty cool
2.5 miles
visual
down.
as well.
Giant walls of steel.
Is that really how deep the ocean is? 2.5 miles? That doesn't seem very deep.
In that part of the ocean, I'm sure
I
that
guess,
it's different.
Countless clues.
I just thought it would be like 20 miles down. I'm not sure why.
I'm sure it is in some.
I also,
It's also
know nothing about the ocean, so.
I mean, you could look up how deep is the deepest ocean, but like,
I think it's the Mariana Trench or Marina Trench or whatever.
you're right, Mary.
Because James Cameron went down in there. Yeah, the Mariana Trench, 124 miles.
After
This
this,
moment in James Cameron's 1997 blockbuster
This is about the
Titanic,
the
where
lifeboat
Kate Winslet's
situation.
character, Rose, notices something about the lifeboats that ends up being kind of important.
It seems that there are not enough for everyone aboard.
To which Victor Garber, who played Titanic's architect Thomas Andrews, responds in a flawless Irish accent.
I have built you a good ship, strong and true. She's all the lifeboat you need.
This is terrible.
Viewer already knows how this
Terrible
story
Irish
ends.
accent.
oh, thanks, DL. Golf
This line
swing.
comes off as either tragic arrogance or
you.
some sort of bad joke.
It's actually Shiggy's. I just
but
steal
it's
it all the
central
time.
to understanding
Yeah,
how
you
the
do.
Titanic was
It's
designed.
okay.
I steal
and
my shit all the
how it
time too.
went
It's
wrong.
fine.
You're entitled to half my stuff, and I'm entitled to half your stuff.
Exactly.
The Titanic actually
Come
had
give
more
me some money.
lifeboats than was required by British law.
That's what I was
The
saying
Merchant
earlier.
Shipping Act of 1894 required that big ships, those weighing over 10,000 tons, have at least 16 lifeboats that could hold 990
Why
people.
don't we not
Ships
make the
only got
math
bigger
based
and
on the
bigger from
size, but on
there,
the passenger
the
size?
minimum didn't change.
Yeah, that would
Hello?
probably be
Titanic
good.
first launched in 1911.
Bad
the
rule.
ship weighed over 45,000 tons, but
Wow.
still only needed 16 lifeboats by law. Titanic had 20, which, if filled to maximum capacity, could carry a total of 1,100.
Hey, almost half the
Nowhere near-
people.
Nowhere near enough to accommodate the approximate 2,240 passengers and crew on board when the ship sank. But at least from a design perspective, the builders of the Titanic had every reason to believe that they had constructed the safest passenger ship the world had ever seen.
Doesn't really matter if
Lifeboat you
you...
need.
This
She's
line
all the
might be
lifeboat
made
you'll be
up for the
dating there.
movie, but it's how people talked about the Titanic even after it went down. Let's unpack what that means. The Titanic was designed to stay afloat even after taking on serious damage. The bottom of the ship was divided into 16 compartments by these partitions, called bulkheads. If the ship's hull was breached, these compartments could be sealed off from each other with the flick of a switch that closed watertight doors connecting them. Once sealed off, the water in the affected compartments would rise to the height of the sea, called the waterline, but prevent the rest of the ship from flooding.
Yeah, why didn't
The
that
idea
work?
was that the giant
It's
ocean
too
liner,
much.
even after taking on water, would still be the safest place to wait as lifeboats methodically ferried passengers to a rescue ship. This bulkhead plus lifeboat strategy had worked successfully just a couple years earlier, when a ship accidentally rammed straight into the side
Oh.
of the RMS Republic. Newspaper diagrams from 1909 showed how the Republic was ripped wide open and where it was taking on water. But the crew remained calm and didn't evacuate the ship right away. Their confidence was due
Right,
in large
DL,
part to a brand new
exactly.
piece of technology they had on board, the Marconi
Let's not
wireless
use the
telegraph
metric
system.
of the size
When
of the
Republic was
boat.
hit,
Let's
its
use how many
telegraph
people
operator
it can
tapped out
fit.
the Morse code
That's
signals
like
to
saying
the computer,
SUVs
the stress
need
call that
4
later
seat
became
belts, but
SOS
coupes
to
need
all
2.
nearby ships.
Right.
Or
2
something.
hours later,
Yeah.
Like,
a
even though
rescue
there's
ship
4
arrived,
seats in
and the
both.
crew
Right.
carefully transferred everyone off the Republic in small groups using lifeboats. The Republic eventually sank, but except for 6 people killed in the initial collision,
That would've
every single
been
person on
better.
board
Wow.
was saved. The Republic was the first shipwreck to make use of a wireless distress signal, and its operator was hailed as a hero. This incident seemed to prove that on the busy North Atlantic route with other ships always nearby, a combination of careful ship design and this miraculous piece of new technology had made disasters at sea a thing of the past. This 1909 news article,
pretty
The Triumph
confident.
of Wireless, pretty much sums up the optimism of the time. The passenger on a well-equipped transatlantic liner is safer than anywhere else in the world. Just 3 years later,
A spoiler.
here's what went wrong. When the Titanic was built, regulations recommended that all passenger ships should be able to remain afloat with any 2 adjacent compartments flooded. I talked to Sam Halpern, an engineer and longtime Titanic researcher who created this diagram based on data from a 1996 forensic analysis of the Titanic's design. He showed me how the ship was built to stay afloat even with 3, and in these scenarios, up to 4 adjacent compartments flooded. The key was to keep the ship level, so the waterline never reached the top of the bulkheads and flooded over into the other compartments. These scenarios show the ship was protected from almost any crash imaginable at the time, including from rocks,
except
colliding with another ship, and
for
even
an
hitting an iceberg. But the Titanic didn't hit
scraping
the iceberg
along the side of
head-on.
it.
Instead, it scraped along the side of it, and sonar analysis shows the ship was most likely breached here, 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 and most crucially,
oh
here.
no.
Boiler room 6. The
Not
movie actually
5.
does a really good job
Yeah.
of explaining this, so I'm gonna let Victor Garber take it from here.
That's 5 compartments. She can stay afloat with the first 4 compartments breached, but not 5. Titanic will founder. It is a mathematical certainty.
Flooding the first 5 compartments overwhelmed the design.
Dang,
There were
that's
just
why
too
it didn't
many
work.
for
I
the
always
ship to
wondered why
stay
the
upright.
watertight doors didn't
And
work.
as the bow
It's too
dipped
late,
farther into the
and
ocean,
it was just too much.
the water flowed over the bulkheads, flooding the watertight compartments one at a time.
Yep.
The Titanic sent out its first wireless distress call at 12:15
Oh, that's a
a.m.,
great visual.
35 minutes after hitting the iceberg. From there, the messages became increasingly desperate. We have struck an iceberg. We are sinking fast. And cannot last much longer. Women and children in boats. But the nearest ship to the Titanic that night, SS Californian, never got these messages. That ship's sole wireless operator had turned off the radio for the night and gone to bed. The Titanic's wireless operators were communicating with other ships like the Olympic and the Baltic that started to head to its coordinates but were a long way off. The last message from the Titanic, received by RMS Carpathia at 1:45 a.m., was engine room full up to boilers.
Yikes.
Without a rescue ship, all the Titanic had left was its lifeboats. By the time the Carpathia got there around 4 a.m., the ship had disappeared into the ocean, taking down more than 1,500 passengers and crew with it. The only survivors were 706 people who made it into the Titanic's lifeboats. The disaster permanently altered the public's view on the necessity of lifeboats.
Yeah.
You can see how quickly things changed when you compare this photo of RMS Olympic, Titanic's near-identical twin in 1911, to this one of the Olympic in
We'll talk about
1912,
that.
immediately following the Titanic disaster, showing double the number of lifeboats along the top
They
deck.
still sink.
The biggest
That
impact
ship
the Titanic
sinks?
disaster had on safety regulations and ship design was the enacting of the International Convention for the Safety of Life
Yeah,
at
the
Sea,
Titanic-
or SOLAS.
the
a
Titanic
1914
curse, if you
international
will.
treaty that required wireless telegraph communication
Pretty
to
sure
be
all 3 of
active
those ships sank.
24/7 and upped the lifeboat minimum to account for everyone on board. Today, SOLAS requires
Oh
cruise
my
ships
God.
to be able to accommodate 125%
That makes me
of the
so
ship's
sick.
capacity in small boats in the event of
Wait, we're
emergency.
still doing this?
Ultimately, the
Wait,
It's
Titanic
at
it is
125%.
Okay.
Yeah, so it covers everybody there
More
and
some.
25 in case boats
Early
fail,
days
right?
of
Yeah,
wireless
yeah.
communication and a collision scenario too extreme to have been considered possible until it happened. Oh, and one more thing about that foreshadowing lifeboat scene in Titanic.
A waste of deck space as it is in an unsinkable ship.
The Titanic was never advertised as unsinkable, although this 1911 edition of the trade magazine The Shipbuilder did describe both the Titanic and the Olympic as practically unsinkable, and there are reports from 1912 that some of the passengers who went down with the ship refused to believe it was really sinking. But the term only became widely associated with the Titanic in the media after the disaster. Thanks for watching.
That's
I had a lot of fun making this
mean.
one, especially with adapting this 1911 side plan of the Titanic to help visualize how the watertight bulkheads were supposed to work. You can help support our work and keep it free by making a gift to Vox at vox.com/support.
There you go. If you're interested, that was a Vox
With your
video.
support, we're able to keep telling these stories and answering questions you didn't know you had.
On Wednesday, April
You'll
the
hear
10th,
some survivor
1912,
stories.
in brilliant sunshine, although the day was cold, the unsinkable Pride of the White Star Line left Southampton. She was commanded by Captain Smith, Commodore of the White Star Fleet, and this was to be his last appointment before retiring. A crowd had gathered on the pier to watch her leave her moorings. The Titanic was a
Thanks.
new breed of luxury liner. The route for this maiden voyage took her to Cherbourg and Queenstown, where she took on emigrants bound for the New World.
Oh, I guess
Among
Queenstown
her
was the last
passengers
place
were
on
many of the
Cherbourg.
wealthy and influential, with, according to one calculation, combined assets of £120 million.
There was something about the Titanic. It was so very formal. It was so stiff. The atmosphere was stiff. The coziness, well, you know, the kind of get-together feeling, it didn't exist. I always remember going up on the lift. A little boy said to me, "You know, madam, it's quite an honor. I'm only 14 years old. I'm a lift boy."
But we were sleeping 6 in a
14
bunk,
maybe the cutoff.
and we were treated like as if we were in a third-class restaurant as regards the food. We were not allowed to go in any part of the ship except the deck that we were allowed to go on.
If you were rich, the decks provided a sumptuous way of life. The band played the gayest tunes and American ragtime dances, and in the splendor of the Café Parisien, the light melodies of the day. The dining rooms, staterooms, and common rooms were furnished in various periods and styles, so that English gentlemen might sit in rooms panelled and adorned like their own at home. And so that those extra good food inches could be counteracted, they even provided a splendidly equipped gymnasium. On Sunday evening, April the 14th, the night of the gala dinner, the band was playing, the millionaires were drinking at the bar, the Titanic was aglow with glittering lights. Then 3 rings on the bell gave the alarm from the crow's nest, and a shout down the telephone, "Ice ahead." The time was 11:40.
There was a very slight bump, just a little jar, nothing at all.
You wouldn't even notice it.
I went in my room. There was a second light jar, nothing of consequence. But you knew something had happened, and one man said, "Look at that. That's an iceberg, and it's a whopper, because you know there's 1/8 above the water and 7/8 below.
Yeah.
And this blooming thing's all the way over the top of the ship." Thought nothing of it.
Yeah,
We
it's a
picked
whopper.
up the bits of ice, and most of us played snowballs.
Well, I found a lifebelt in one of the cabins, the first-class cabins. I put this on, not securely, and I was walking aimlessly on deck, thinking what I should do next. And looking over the side, I saw the boats being launched for the survivors, and it was women and children first, so I had no chance there. And
Yeah.
while I was looking over the side of the boat, one of the crew in the lifeboat shouted out to me to jump. Well, I didn't actually jump over the boat. I crawled across the davits, came down the falls, dropped in the water, and I was picked up with a boat that returned to pick me up.
Good strap.
A little
That's what I would have
while
done.
Got lucky.
A man came to my door. His teeth were
I'm always
chattering.
really intrigued by male survivor
"Madam,
stories because it's just like, how the fuck
Get up.
did
Get
you
out.
do that?
Do you know, they're making the women and children leave in lifeboats. They say you're coming back for breakfast. You know, these crazy English, they do anything. They make you get up and go off in boats and go off and come back for breakfast. What do you think of that? But before I went, I locked every window in my 3 staterooms and closed every trunk and locked every trunk and took the keys with me. 19 keys.
Wow.
For 19 trunks. I had on my evening slippers, diamond buckles. No, not real diamonds, but diamond. And I had a wool cap and 2 fox furs and a paper-thin broad-tailed coat, and no underwear and no stockings, but a pair of velvet slippers and these buckles. And I lost a buckle. And who should I see? Mr. Mock, a miniature painter. And he said, "Look, there's trouble." I just said, "No." Well, he said, "You'll have to jump now into the lifeboat." I said, "Jump? with this thing I've got on. What do you think I am, an acrobat or a monkey or something? I can't jump in this thing. Well, he said, you'll have to. My sister's in that lifeboat. Well, I looked at that lifeboat, swinging out on the davits. Oh, possibly, I don't know by measurements, but it was an awful long way. And down below was the sea, 14 stories below.
Ugh.
What if you jumped and you fell between?
Yeah, no. Scary.
I never would have left the ship. But a sailor came along, and he said, say you don't want to be saved. Well, I'll save your baby. And he grabbed this pig from under my arm, and he tossed it in the lifeboat. And I turned to this man, Monk, and I said, that does it. But when they threw that pig, I knew it was my mother calling me.
You know, when we look at the figures, there were less people saved from the steerage class.
That's right.
Than there were from the first
Quite
class.
right, because they were not allowed to go on first class deck.
And that was the only way one could be saved.
Yes.
Probably fuck the rules at that point.
In the wireless cabin,
Yeah.
the two
Cruel.
operators, Phillips and Bride, flashed out signals for assistance until the deck was awash. Did the band actually play music while the ship went down?
No. I heard the band playing when the boat struck, when I first tried to get on the deck. But when I decided to jump off the boat, I actually saw the band standing about with the instruments.
I don't doubt that they were playing music. Other people heard it. But when people say that music played as the ship went down, that is a ghastly, horrible lie.
Oh.
Arthur Lewis, a bedroom
Very
steward, was
opinionated
saved
about
because
that.
he was detailed to row one of the lifeboats. What were the other passengers like in the lifeboat?
Well, they never spoke, you see. There's women and children in the boat all night, but they never spoke.
In shock, probably.
They just sat back down there waiting to get picked up.
What do you say, also?
No, well, we didn't know one another, so we couldn't get in conversation.
And then,
She's like, hey, what's
horrible
up? How you go?
fear
How's it going? Like,
was
no.
in my
no.
heart, and I think everybody else's, that the dreadful, dreadful suction that had drawn us towards the Titanic would suck us under the Titanic.
At 2:20 a.m. on Monday the 15th of April, and 2.5 hours after she struck the iceberg, the largest liner afloat slid beneath the black icy waters to the floor of the Atlantic. The Titanic carried a total of 2,206 passengers and crew. 703 people survived. The total
Not
loss
good
of life
numbers.
was 1,503.
Ugh. Not a great ratio there.
Mrs. Manning, where were you when the ship struck the iceberg?
The audio on this might be a little too horrible.
Stairs class.
You were emigrating to America?
Yes. I was coming over here to my sister.
If I may ask, how old were you then?
I was 16, going on 17. Be 17 in October.
When did you first realize how serious the trouble was?
Oh, I didn't until I got to this country. I thought it was part of the trip, to tell you the truth. I didn't realize that there was any danger.
You didn't realize there was any danger?
No, I thought that was pretty hard way to get here, but I didn't really think it was as bad as it was until after.
When the alarm was sounded, what happened?
Didn't you see the
Well,
bus?
I
was to
was
say, like,
asleep
just,
at the
you
time,
thought that's how
and
it went.
I thought then the ship
I don't
had
know.
landed.
Maybe she was very young, I don't know.
So I thought we were
But-
here in this country.
Like the
Then you
boat
went up on deck.
correct.
And then I went up on
Yeah.
deck, and then we were told to go
Interesting
down. There was a
perspective.
piece of ice on deck, and that's when they get it off.
She's
of
like,
it.
the Titanic
Everything
sank?
will be all right.
Oh my
But only
God.
That's really bad.
Is everybody
How did you
okay?
escape?
Like,
well,
no.
we were standing on the steerage.
I thought that's
third
how
class, they
things
call
went.
it, And
Just, no.
then we couldn't get up second. And of course, then there was one man with us, and he was our guardian angel, and he said, for God's sake, let the women up. So at that, I got up
And then you got,
second. Mm-hmm.
and then you got into a lifeboat.
And no, then I had to go to first cabin. The lifeboats were only going from first cabin. So there was a man on the second deck, and he asked me to go on his shoulder, and I climbed over, and then I think it was the last boat that was going out.
The last
They didn't want to let me on because there was too many on the boat already.
But you got into the boat.
But I said to the man I'd like to go with my sister because there was a neighbor with me, and I thought he'd feel, because I didn't want to lose the crowd. I didn't really think it was any danger, but I thought I'd miss them in the dark. You know, it was very dark.
Did you see the ship
I was
sink?
baffled that she thought there was no danger.
I was looking at it sinking.
I don't get
when
that.
we were in the lifeboat, because we were in the lifeboats for 9 hours.
And then which ship rescued you?
9 hours.
Carpathia picked us up then early in the morning, about 9 o'clock or something. I think it was about 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? They weren't 3 hours away then?
Look, I believe you were in charge of the Turkish bath.
No, they were not.
I was.
And where were you when the
It's
iceberg
like
hit
6
the ship?
hours.
I was in bed.
And when did you first realize things were wrong?
Well, naturally the fog woke us up, and everybody got to their feet, and I went into a little passage, and I met the second steward, which was Mr. Dodd, and he said, for God's sake, get some clothes on, get up on deck. I said, what's wrong? He said, I don't know. So, of course, I had a coat on, a nightdress, and we got up on deck, and everybody was most cheerful.
When did you first realize how serious things were?
I didn't think it was serious because I didn't think it was possible a big ship like that could sink. And everybody was busy, and they was lowering the lifeboats, and the crew were marvelous. Everybody was cheerful.
That's crazy that they're saying it's so big, how can it sink?
And I didn't
It's
want
like,
to go.
why it can
And then, of
sink?
course, you realized that things were very serious.
Yes, I did.
Because it's
They just
big.
can't comprehend that damage could be that catastrophic that they couldn't see or feel barely.
Right,
You know, like they didn't
The
know.
lights going down and down.
Did you hear the music playing?
I did.
Almost till the end.
Till the end, I heard
This
them
lady is a
play.
lying bitch.
That's what that other
According to
lady
the
would
other
say.
lady, yeah.
Yeah.
Neil and I
It's
got
it's terrible.
And I met a steward, and he said, "You are."
I mean, it's like
older
DL
than
said,
me."
you know,
It was a
you're
baby.
in the middle of
So I
the
took
most
the
traumatic
baby.
situation.
And
You're
then
going to
when they
misremember
lowered the
things
last
or...
lifeboat, I
This
didn't
lady
know
was in the
it.
middle of shit.
And they
She's a
said
liar.
one of the other stewards, and Mr. Wheat, he was helping lower them, and Mr. Murdoch, he was the
But yeah,
chief steward, and he shouted.
I
he
mean,
was shouting
that
out,
first lady said there was nothing wrong.
"Children of women."
And she was on the last lifeboat out? Like,
Marvelous.
that's definitely
I took the
weird.
baby, and I didn't want to go, so they
I
said,
think,
"Come
you know,
on."
even by the
and I
time-
went down in the last lifeboat, and there was, I think there was 72 in it, and you could hear the ice crash in the sides
The
of the
boat
boat.
was still very much
You
afloat.
saw ice all around
I just
you.
don't
Oh,
Right.
yes, crashing,
You know,
and the
I think
water,
they
the
just-
ocean was as
just
smooth as a
didn't
pond.
understand.
And you were in the water until you were in the boat until
Till the next,
daylight.
yes, the bright daylight. And then we was brought on to New York, and the Lapland brought us back to Plymouth, the survivors, which had to come back. So then, of course, we was kept there a little while, and then brought on to Southampton. Of course, that was
Wait, they
very
had to go
sad
back?
because everybody thought you knew somebody who was lost, and I had so many friends on there.
Can't send a telegram.
And you couldn't tell them anything.
There was no
What?
impact as such. It was just like jamming your brakes on a car. And that was that. She stopped. We had a porthole open, and I looked out, and the sky was clear, the stars were shining, the sea was dead calm. And I thought, I don't know, I couldn't understand it. So I came out of my cabin, and I thought, well, I'd go forward. And I went forward to the well deck on the starboard side, and I could see ice in the well deck. There's no sign of iceberg then, because she'd passed us. And the lights were shining on the water from the portholes, and no sign of damage above waterline.
Yeah,
And of course, what had happened, we slipped over the iceberg. And although she was supposed to be unsinkable with a double bottom, the iceberg had cut her from forward on the starboard side to the engine room, right through her two bottoms. And we had orders to get the lifeboats out. And because the same old order, women and children. And we swung the lifeboats out and gradually filled them up. First boats were away on the port side. The first boats away didn't have many passengers on board. They were afraid to go down. There was a 70-foot drop to the water, and they didn't think she was going to sink. And a few of the first boats on the port side got away with half filled. Don't forget, we had 16 lifeboats, and they each carried 50. And if they'd been filled, we could have saved 800, whereas we only saved 500. So you can imagine there were many seats in the first lifeboats vacant. Then I had orders to go down the storeroom with a gang of men and get all the biscuits we could find. Well, when we got back up onto the boat deck, we couldn't get near the lifeboats.
They didn't know how long they were going to
Some people
be
were
out there.
scrambling to get in and being pushed back. By that time, she was listing very badly to port, and we couldn't get the starboard boats down. But before I got my lifebelt on, I met a young couple, and I can tell you her name. It was Mrs. Clark. They'd spent their honeymoon in France, and we'd picked them up at Cherbourg.
Oh, no.
And she was having trouble with her lifebelt.
Coming back from your honeymoon, dealing with that.
And I said, I think you'd better get into a lifeboat. And there was one in the port, on the port side. So she said, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to leave my husband. So I said, well, it's just precautionary measure. You get in, your husband will follow later on. And I got her away, and that was that. And then I picked up my own lifebelt and put it on. Then the third-class passengers were coming up. There were 700 of them, and they swarmed the decks and filled up the decks.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'd done all I possibly could. I'd helped them all I could. And I thought, oh, now I'll go up and get out of all this scrumming and go on the poop deck. And she was sinking fast then. And all of a sudden she lifted up quickly. You could hear everything crashing through her.
The old shit deck.
Everything that was movable was going through her.
Like, why are we calling it that?
And then
Whose
she
idea
went
was
down and seemed to come up again. So I thought, well, now I'm going to leave. And I was hanging on to a board. We had two boards, starboard and port, which said, keep clear of propeller blades. And I was hanging on to one of these, and I was getting higher and higher in the air. And I thought, well, now I'll go. And I dropped in. I had a lifebelt on. And I hit the water with a terrific crack. And luckily, I didn't hit anything when I dropped in.
God.
There were bodies all over the place. And then I looked up at the Titanic. So the propellers were right out of water. The rudder was right out, and I could see
And
the
it falls
bottom.
back down. I know, vanished.
And then
right?
gradually she
Don't want
glided
to.
away,
Can't.
and that was that. That was the last of the Titanic. I didn't want to die. I mean, and I didn't see much chance
What
of
choice
living,
did you
but I was
have?
gradually getting frozen up. And by the grace of God, I came across a lifeboat, and they pulled me in. And there was a fireman dead in the bottom. There was about a foot of water in this boat.
Oh.
There was another man
Why?
who was trying to. He seemed to be trying to get away from it again. I don't know what was the matter with him. They were tying him down.
What?
And the rest were women and children. And I sat on a seat, and who should be? I sat next to Mrs. Clark.
Oh no.
He's like,
the,
hey,
the,
sorry.
The girl I'd put into a lifeboat. And she said, the first thing she said, have you seen my husband? So I said, no,
I haven't.
I expect he'll be all right. Anyway.
Pretty optimistic.
I was pretty, in a pretty bad way then, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Frozen solid almost. And she wrapped me round with a cloak. She had some sort of blanket or a coat on. Anyway, I think she probably saved my life, I don't know. But I saved hers. At least I think I might have done. I think I did. And she saved mine. Then
Wow.
first light, the Carpathia came along. Carpathia was about 7,000 tons, and they were going to the Mediterranean, absolutely loaded. And they took us all on board, took us to New York. And that was that.
I believe you've even got a watch that you were wearing at the time when you went into the water.
Yes, yes, but I couldn't afford anything better in those early days. Here
It's
it
like
is.
a priceless
That
relic.
says 20 past 2. What time was it when you went into the water?
20 past 2.
It was about 2 o'clock. I think it lasted. It was frozen up like I was. I think it lasted for about 20 minutes in the water.
Wow.
Does talking about this incident bother you
That's
like
the
you
time
have
it
been
went down,
today?
I think.
Yeah.
Talking about it?
That's
I should probably
wild.
dream of that tonight. Have another nightmare. You'd think I'm too old for that, but you'd be amazed.
Yeah, I
You
think that's
lie
going
in
to be a
bed at night
lifelong
and the whole thing comes round
nightmare.
again.
PTSD galore.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Bad. Here's just some. I think I have 2010 footage and 2021 footage. I'll skip around this. Obviously, we're not going to watch all of it, but here's like actual expedition footage, which I always find really interesting. Entirely unavoidable, probably. Largely unavoidable. Like accidents happen, but you could probably also not be going like really, really fast in icy water.
It says entirely avoidable.
What?
He said entirely avoidable.
What did I say?
Unavoidable.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Like you could prevent it.
Right. Could have been largely, probably prevented. And I have pictures. We'll get into the exhibit pictures in a second. But it's just wild, some of the things they've recovered from this site. Oh, yeah, he didn't have his binoculars. And they were going way too fast. And the water was really calm. There were a lot of factors working against them. But I just find... I'll sometimes just like throw this on. It's just wild to me. Absolutely crazy. The person previously on watch locked them up and has replaced it didn't have the key. Like, thanks, buddy. Like the equivalent of the person that closes the night before you and leaves the place like an absolute wreck. And you're like, oh, thanks. And then you just killed everyone. Because, yeah, I mean, that's another theory. Like, if the scouts had binoculars, could they have seen it in time to turn? Because they sure didn't have time to turn when they did manage to see it. How far out, though? Like, how bad was their visibility still? If they had binoculars or not, would the visibility still have been too bad? I don't know. I'm trying to beat a record. Yeah, they were tired with a bang, EJ. Like, it was its last voyage. I'd be, they were still going to get there in, like, a record amount of time. Like, it was still going to be fine, but they wanted to be, they wanted to be showy.
Probably don't try to break records when you have 2,500 people, like, also going with you, and they don't necessarily want to break the record.
Right. Like, they were...
Seems like a solo thing. Like, you take a skeleton crew to go break records, right?
This is like I always like to equivalent it to like the space race of like, was it like the 60s or 70s?
Which, yeah, there's not like 2,000 passengers on those on the space rockets.
Fair
like,
enough.
That's a skeleton crew.
But
like,
this is like the equivalent. Like, who had the best ship was a really, really big thing.
Yeah.
Back in the 1900s, it was always it was a competition, and it got the better of the Titanic and its sister ships, which again we will go into in a little bit. Going as fast as they wouldn't have been able to turn. No, they didn't have enough rudder, and it was just going. They didn't have time. Just no time. Also, it's your maiden voyage. Like, first time, only time. And I saw they're rebuilding a Titanic. I'm like, that is cursed as fuck. You could not pay me to get on that ship. As much as I think, like, I love looking at recreations of Titanic, which we'll look at also, because there's a game coming out that it's sort of like the real-time animation that we watch, but it's a game called Titanic Honor and Glory. I've been following them for a while. This game has been in development forever, and there's a demo I have on here that it just looks absolutely beautiful, this recreation of the ship, and I wish, as much as I would love to like witness it, it was beautiful. And like some of the stuff they recovered that we'll show you from the exhibit, like it's still like in pristine condition. It's just insane. Also traversing an ocean with no iceberg. Yeah, like they were getting ice warnings left and right. Didn't care. They thought, I mean, everybody just thought, they had so much faith in this boat, this ship. They really didn't think that anything was going to happen. And it's just like, it's, you know, putting too much faith in like a giant metal object that weighs thousands of tons. Like it's gonna sink. She's made of iron, sure. I assure you she can. Like, he changes his tune real fast once they hit that thing. He's just like, no, it's unsinkable. And then, like, it actually happens. He's like, oh, no, it'll sink, like, pretty hard.
It's sinking right now.
Oh, it's sinking, like, pretty actively, and we're fucked. And it's just like, oh, like, 20 minutes ago, you were like, she's all the lifeboat you need. And it's just like, the, like, one thing that, like, couldn't happen, happened. I'm sure there's a law of Newton or something that covers that. But it's just like... Whatever can happen, can happen.
Big Daddy Newt talked about that, I'm pretty sure.
And welcome to my TED Talk.
I'm fairly certain Isaac talked about this.
I don't know. But like everything that can happen, like will happen or whatever.
That's more like what's the like when you drop a buttered piece of toast, it always lands butter side down. Murphy's Law. Like if the worst outcome is usually what will happen.
Right. I think that's what I'm thinking
like
of
that.
more.
Hold on.
Yeah, like just don't. And then they're just running around like, no, it's unsinkable. Like you're just testing it. Man.
So
Stop it.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yes,
that's Murphy's Law.
Murphy. There he is. There's my boy, not Newton.
Newton was more like calculus and physics, kind of like equal and opposite reaction, and like a force will remain in motion unless acted upon and stuff like that.
Which, I mean, you're just testing it here. Like it's all about motion and fast and all this. But I mean, yeah, there's still a ton of stuff on the bottom here in 2010. Huge debris field. I think the debris field itself is like a mile or so, like something wide. Maybe cool with a VR recreation. Yeah, that's what this game has done. I'll show you that they have a demo. I was gonna download the demo and do it on live, but I just kept with the video for now. But you can also go download it. I'll have the link for y'all. Interesting theories and conspiracies. We're gonna talk about that, man. So save those. Like that it was actually planned. Oh, of course. There's always those fucking people. It was planned. 9/11 was planned. It wasn't actually the true Titanic ship. Oh my god. Come on now. Oh. It's been 84 years, not the salt. What's up, soulmate? Fun fact, it was the VP of Titanic, not the captain, who said it was unsinkable. Oh, Bruce Ismay said that? That guy. There could never be a more top brash statement ever made. Imagine, though, how quickly and hard that VP would have been blasted on Twitter. Right? He's still being blasted. Like, nobody likes Bruce Ismay. Yeah.
That's like what he would be saying. He's like, I can't believe they're trying to cancel me just because 1,500 little teeny people died.
And he saved himself because he's a fucking asshole.
I make one little mistake and then they ban me from Twitter. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Anyway, so there's expedition footage from 2010. I have some here. I'll just skip to the end. And then I have some from a little bit, I think it was in 2021. So kind of similar to what it looks like today. Fuck Mr. Ismay. Correct. Not Bruce Ismay. I thought he was the VP of White Star Line. Is he not? I know he was high up there. PAS Franklin. Well, he's a POS. don't tempt fate like that. Oh yeah, so here's, oh wow, that's really loud, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
This is just like footage of the debris field around the Titanic. I'm actually gonna mute this in case I'm already gonna have issues with copyright on this video. Probably. Hopefully they let me keep it for educational purposes, because that's really what it's all about for me. Because like obviously you know about the Titanic, but how much do you know? You know, and like it's one of those conversations that it's always just really interesting to have. And the anniversary happened to fall on a Saturday, so I thought it would make a good brunch show. Hello, soulmate. How are you still on your trip, or are you back? I've been trying to follow. I'm such a fucking boomer. I feel like such a boomer on Instagram when people use their stories, because I don't follow them as much. Like I don't know. So I don't. I saw your like London pictures, but I didn't see anything else. Bruce Ismay was the chairman. Okay. I thought he was like up there, like VP-ish. Yeah. But it's still crazy. This is from 2021. There's still all of this around, and I have a picture of it too. And I'll, but like at the exhibit, there was like a little like blurb on the wall that said that the wreckage is being eaten by bacteria and it's not going to exist anymore in like another decade or two. Which I never even thought about that.
They said I remember the thing that said they had to keep like, even the pieces they recovered had the bacteria on it, so they have to like regularly have people that deal with artifacts like clean it.
Right, like like you had to be like top level conservationist, because I looked into it. I was really interested in being and I still want to, like, not just for like Titanic, but like I just always wanted to be one of those people that like restored artifacts and like went on excavations. I blame the 90s. Like I wanted to be a paleontologist. I wanted to be like the mummy like I wanted to be like Rachel Weisz in The Mummy. One of these days maybe I still will, but you have to get like you have to get like all kinds of certification and like a master's degree in conservation, and it's a lot. But you had to have these masters because of this bacteria, and like it was just, this stuff has been under the water for, we just looked it up, 111 years. So yeah, they're trying to rescue as much as they can, which they rescued a whole side of the ship, which I'll show you.
Yeah.
And you won't even get the scale even then, but it was mind blowing to witness. If you ever go to Vegas, go see the Titanic exhibit at the Luxor. That's all I have to say. It's worth the money. I have some stuff that I got at the gift shop that is just really, really cool.
Also go to Morimoto's restaurant, because it's
yeah, that was really good. We went to Craft. God, Vegas was so fun. Just go to Vegas. It's fun. I didn't think I was going to like it as much because I'm a big introvert, but I really, really, I think about that trip all the time. I really want to go back.
Yeah, sick.
So, like, I know there's so many other places to go, but I want to go back to Vegas so bad. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting, like, here it is, you know, like 2010, here it is today. This is more what it looks like. If you want more, there you can go to Ocean Gate Expositions. And again, all these links will be on the YouTube and Discord. Okay, here's the game. It's called Titanic Honor and Glory, if you want to look it up. I just signed their page, or I just like got on their Patreon to support them, because they've been developing this. I don't know if it's going to be a game or if it's just going to be like a walkthrough.
I think it's like just a historical recreation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily a game.
It will be,
but it's like
on Steam.
Amazing looking.
Yeah, like it looks amazing. So
yeah.
If that's your...
It's Unreal Engine 5 for sure.
Yeah. That would be dope. Yeah. You should. Oh, you're going to Vegas, Tart. You should definitely go. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's buffering like that. The Cafe Parisian. Or no, I think that's just like somebody's deck. But yeah, it's beautiful. And they must be close to done, because like it's a pretty significant demo. We won't watch all of it, but like I just wanted to show you that this is something in the works. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's buffering so hard. Probably because it's in 4K and Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah, it's not buffering for me at all.
No way do I want to be Titanic conservationist because the second my clumsy self broke a historic artifact, right, it'd be my head on the chopping block, yeah. And there's a lot of porcelain and breakable stuff for sure. I would go only to go to those places. No gambling. We did very little gambling. I went for the food. Well, it looks insane, right? Like this isn't even like doing it a lot of justice because it's streaming. But like, just this is all first class. Look at that.
I remember I put $80 on red and lost, and I was like, all right.
I won like there was this Willy Wonka slot machine that I really liked. But other than that, I didn't really gamble. Looks
I
like
think
it'll be a
roulette was
VR
the most
historical
fun I had.
walkthrough. But yeah, I would love to get VR just for this, honestly. It's very cool. And like, yeah, this is the resolution that you're seeing probably isn't doing it justice. But yeah, if this is interesting to you, I'm not sure like where they are in development. It's been a long time, so I'm hoping soon.
Carpet reminds me of The Shining.
Oh dear, yes it does. I know, right? Like this is as close as you're gonna get, because fuck, no way am I getting on the rebuilt one that they're doing or whatever. I don't even know if that's real, but I'm not getting on it if it is. This is, I don't know, it just says first class. So top of the grand staircase, DL. So I guess A deck.
Makes me so hurt. I don't like it.
They
It's like
recreated
heights
this.
I don't care about at all. Like heights I'm fine with, but seeing ocean until infinity, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Not a fan.
No.
Yeah. No.
That's just like,
I don't like things
I'll
towering
die
above
soon.
me either. Like, no, like that's too high above me. Like it's gonna fall.
I
on
would
me.
rather be 1,000 feet in the air looking down than be on this ship and look all
no,
around me and see no land.
You're a deck. Oh, I get it. You're a deck.
Shut up, you stupid duck.
Stupid duck, you bitch. Water is terrifying. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not too cold to kill you and you survive a shipwreck, the sharks will get you. Not into
You
it.
have no chance. There's just no chance without
You-
intervention of someone else. Like you cannot
Which
live.
I would hope that there's better situations today.
You would hope.
Oh, this is the
but
Turkish
also
bath.
then your cruise ship gets stuck in a canal or like it's COVID and you can't dock and then
Oh, well, who's
there's, like,
going on a
mutinies
cruise in
going
the middle
on.
of COVID? Those people
No, like
deserve
before
to-
COVID, like they didn't know COVID was happening and then
I
it
guess.
happened and they're like, "Oh, okay, we can't like get on anymore. That's tight."
No, I'm not into the Kraken.
Now
And it
that
was
is
like-
cool.
I just think-
I would do that. I would see a Kraken. Like if I'm gonna go down in a shipwreck, at least
It
would
better be the
super
Kraken.
sick to see a huge like tentacle that's like 600 feet high.
This looks like done, so I'd be really surprised if it doesn't come out soon. Oh, that's where Rose saw Jack for the first time, looked like. Because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
This is third class.
The documentary was filmed in real time.
Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet. Oh, they did a lot of recreations too in the exhibit that are pretty faithful.
Yeah, those
It
were
was
cool
very
to see.
cool.
They were like smaller. The rooms were like smaller than I would think, but also they were having like
They were crew, like, or
2,000
steerage.
plus people.
That too.
And so like the rooms couldn't be super huge. Like
Not
even
on
the
F deck.
even the super fancy, like we saw A deck stuff and it was like the size of, I don't know, like this office. And it's
Yeah.
like I would think it would be so much bigger because they talked about the price too, and it was so much fucking money to sail on this thing.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. The average cost of a Titanic ticket.
Like adjusted for inflation, I
Even
remember
when you
being
account
like,
for inflation, the
"What?"
cost is staggering. It would cost
Yeah.
$133,000 to travel in a first-class suite on the Titanic. First-class berths would cost $4,500, almost $4,600. Second class would be $1,834, and third class were $1,000 fucking dollars. Like I would still be traveling in steerage. $133,000.
You could buy half of a Lamborghini Countach with that. So like, I don't understand paying that to get on this little shitty room that's gonna go
I mean,
underwater anyway.
back in the day, that was like prestige, you know. Like there were a lot of rich people. Like fucking John Jacob Astor died on the Titanic, and he was the richest man like in the world, I think. Or he was, you know, at least one of the most rich men. Like he was, I don't know. He was one of the richest men. He died on the Titanic. It was a huge fucking deal. This is how Downton Abbey starts. It's just it caused like their heirs like spoiler alert, but you should watch Downton Abbey. It's like literally the first episode, so I'm not spoiling like too much. But like they're like the whole story revolves around their heirs to the like lineage die on the Titanic. And it's like, oh shit, like that happened to so many people.
That's cool. I thought it was Downton Abbey for some reason was like 1850s. I didn't think it was 1910s.
Yeah, it starts with the sinking of the Titanic. It's so good. I love Downton Abbey. Go watch it. It's a great comfort show. But anyway, I just wanted to show y'all this because if you're interested at all, it is coming out. Titanic: Honor and Glory. Link will be on the video and in the Discord when I share this. So yeah, this is coming out. It's just gonna be like a walkthrough like this. And it's in 4K, made in Unreal Engine 5. Gonna look beautiful. If you would like to put yourself on the Titanic without dying. Is that the last thing I have?
No.
Oh, why didn't it go then?
You didn't get to the end.
All right. We have 2 more videos, and then I'll show you the photos, I think, because I was going to stop here, but we only have 2 more, so we'll just finish the videos and then I'll show you the photos, and we can talk more about conspiracies, and I have articles, but these are the last videos that I have. Hold on, let me see. Y'all are wilding over here. Yeah, cruise ship rooms are tiny. I don't like that. Even first class, I'm not into that. If I'm going to pay that kind of money, I want like a suite, okay?
Only $1/10,000,000. Can't be that big, right?
Dude, no. $133,000. Jesus Christ. The bridge wasn't open air, was it? I think it was, or like it was half, like it was by the wheel room, wherever the like steering place was. Like it shows in the movie, I think like half of it is like this part is open, and then there's a covered area, I think. I'm not playing a game, but thank you, Streamlabs. I'd be strapped to the side. The wireless room. Yeah, like those guys are heroes, man. Like everybody that helped until the end were heroes, but like the wireless people were sending, as we saw, like right up till the very last minute they were sending stuff. That's just crazy. No you. But yeah, we'll just watch these last 2 videos, and then I'll show you the pictures from the exhibit, which are just really, really cool while we talk about whatever. But now we're getting into the theories, conspiracies. If you have any, let me know. We can talk about that. But I've always thought, like when I talked to my grandfather about this was the first thing he said to me, and I was like, I never even thought about that. So what if the Titanic hit the iceberg just head on? All right.
A slight chop has developed on the sea surface, but just hours ago, the ocean was a flat calm. The Cunard steamer, RMS Carpathia, has raced through the night to attend to a disaster. Now it has arrived on scene and prepares to take on passengers. In the night, the RMS Titanic, on its maiden voyage to New York, has encountered an iceberg, and in the pitch black of night, without a moon, it has collided stem on with the ice and has settled heavily by the head. Passengers begin to abandon ship to be picked up by Carpathia and other steamers which have arrived on site.
I don't think multiple people could use
Titanic's
the wireless room.
Calls.
I think it was like they had wireless
Titanic's
operators that sent them for them.
System has held
but maybe
up,
others were
and
crossing
the ship
lines.
is not actually
Not
sinking.
sure.
But the ship's bow has been crushed up to the foremast, and hundreds are dead. Of course, this is not how history transpired. Titanic didn't collide with the iceberg bow on. Instead, its crew attempted to turn the ship out of harm's way, and its side was open to the seawater, damaging enough of the ship's watertight compartments to sink her. But all the evidence is there to suggest that if Titanic had struck the berg at a 90-degree angle, it would have survived. albeit with heavy damage and possibly hundreds of lives lost.
Yeah,
the whole
It would
thing
have
was
been a
like
catastrophe
it's
for the
made
ship's
holes
owners,
in like
White
6
Star
of the
Line. But the
watertight
Titanic
things or
would have
whatever.
stayed
That's
afloat.
why it sank.
Here is why.
But if it had just hit it, maybe it would have only done like 3. And they would have probably survived, albeit in
Ladies
not
and
great
gentlemen, it's your
shape.
friend Mike Grady from Ocean Liner Designs. Now, if you're anything
Wonder
like
which,
me, out of a morbid sense of curiosity, you might have Googled what would have happened.
I want to make fun of this guy so
the
bad,
iceberg
but
head on. And if that's the case,
You're
then
just
you've probably
jealous
been
of
subject
that.
to
I know,
a lot of
yeah, and I'm
misinformation.
jealous of how well he's
Message boards
dressed.
and forums
Yeah.
across the internet.
We should have dressed up.
Self-proclaimed experts are perfectly
should've,
willing
yeah.
to chime in.
I mean, I
with
put my best
incredible
PlayStation
stories
shirt on. I
of
thought I was
vast
dressed up.
pressure waves that would have
Put my
swept
golf
all the way
wing,
up the side of the
sweatshirt
ship,
on.
opening up all the plate seams and
He's got
popping
a
all the
cool,
rivets
like, picture
and sending
back there.
Titanic to the bottom of the ocean
Titanic.
in
Looks
seconds, maybe minutes, killing everybody on board. But it's just not based in reality. Both history and physics tell us that that's not true, and that Titanic could have perfectly well survived the collision with the iceberg if she hit it head on.
It looks like a Titanic
Was
like,
designed
passenger.
to
I
survive
wonder if that's
this
on
kind of
purpose.
impact.
Maybe,
And
I
in
think
fact,
so.
ships in general fare really well when it comes to head-on collisions with static objects. So today, let's unpack the history.
Yeah, because that
and
other ship
physics
that we learned
and find
about
out
that
why
got hit
Titanic
from the
would have
side
survived
also
a
sank.
head-on collision. with
Side
the iceberg.
collisions are like death
First
for
of
a
all, let's
ship.
go
Yeah,
over
but
the sequence of events as
everybody
they
was
occurred
able to
that
be
night.
saved
In
on that
command on the
one.
bridge that night
Except
was
the
First
people that
Officer
died in the
William
actual
Murdoch,
collision, which
and
is only
so
like
far
5 or
it had been a
6.
peaceful, uneventful night until around 11:40 p.m. when he and the ship's lookouts in the crow's nest high up in the mast spotted a black mass ahead. It was an iceberg, and Murdoch had only seconds to act. Of course, it was his duty to avoid the iceberg by all means necessary. In a previous video, I explained how Murdoch tried to do this by porting around the iceberg, but it was just too late.
Too
And
long,
the Titanic
too small a rudder.
sideswiped the berg, and its fate was sealed. Now, I just want to point something out. This video is not asking whether or not Murdoch should have hit the iceberg head on, because the idea is completely ridiculous.
Right.
He could never have known that Titanic would strike a glancing blow that would open up its side. He absolutely did the right thing, and to the very best of his ability. To assume in that moment that ramming the iceberg head on was the best course of action would have been insane and resulted in serious consequences for Murdoch after the collision.
Hindsight.
No, Murdoch's actions that night were totally sound. But the question still remains. Could Titanic have survived a head-on impact? Well, let's unpack some historical examples to see what happens in real life when ships hit icebergs head-on. As long as there have been ships, there have been things for ships to run into. It is a sad reality of maritime life. Ships are big, heavy masses of weight lumbering through the ocean at speed. It's hard to steer them out of danger, and even harder to slow and stop them. Because of this, there are hundreds and hundreds of examples of dramatic collisions from history. But believe it or not, Titanic was definitely not the first time a ship has had a nasty run-in with an iceberg.
I would imagine.
For example,
not.
the SS Arizona was a 450-foot-long, 5,000 gross registered ton ship operated by the Guidon Line. In 1879, the ship was steaming at its top speed, 15 knots, when it collided with an iceberg stem-on.
I would
The
not
ship's
be
bow
taking
was
requests
badly
at
crushed
that time,
up,
DL.
but the ship survived the impact and sailed to Canada for temporary repair. Her bow was rebuilt, and the ship went on to have an almost 50-year-long career. The SS Grampian had a very similar experience. She had her own run-in with an iceberg in 1919. In fact, she was about double the size of Arizona and was sailing to Liverpool with 750 passengers when, in a fog, an iceberg was spotted dead ahead, and she contacted the berg bow on. 40 feet of Grampian's bow was crushed up, killing 2 stewards, but the watertight compartments held, and the ship did not sink. She too was also fully repaired and put back into service. How on earth did these ships survive these collisions? They both happened at a decent amount of speed and resulted in catastrophic damage, and yet both times the ships were recovered and put back
They're
into
smaller
service.
than the Titanic.
The answer lies in physics and engineering, and the way
Which
that
would
ships are
mean,
designed
like,
to
even
break up
more so
when they
that
encounter a static
Titanic would have
object,
survived.
like an iceberg. One of the false claims made about the Titanic in a head-on collision scenario is that the force of the collision would be sufficient to send a shockwave of force throughout the entire hull of the ship, causing rivets to pop out of place, jamming the watertight doors and sending the ship to the bottom after breaking apart in minutes. But of course, as Grampian and Arizona demonstrate, this is just not the case, and here's why. Like today, ships of Titanic's era were mostly constructed of steel. A lot of steel. The hull was a complicated, honeycomb-like structure of steel beams, girders, and plates. All of these hundreds and thousands of individual pieces of steel were riveted together with millions of rivets. But here is the secret to steel's success. It's actually really soft. Not soft to the touch, of course, you wouldn't be sleeping on a steel pillow anytime soon, but it is flexible, and it can bend under pressure. This effect is called elasticity, the degree to which an object can bend or be deformed without fracturing and then return to its previous shape. This is really useful because ships, by nature, undergo massive amounts of stress as they sail over huge waves, so the hull needs to be able to bend and sag without breaking. But steel also offers a good degree of plasticity. That is, to say how much the steel can bend or be deformed permanently before failing. In a 1999 paper called The Mechanics of Ship Collisions, author and researcher Shengming Zhang does a spectacular job of outlining all of the forces at play
Jeez, I bet
when
that
ships
is
collide with static objects.
A lot.
You see, when a ship
Math.
is moving at near full speed and it hits a static object, like, say, an iceberg, it begins to fold up by the bow. In Titanic's day, they referred to this as telescoping, and it's essentially exactly as it sounds. We saw this with the Grampian,
Oh, it would just like
the
fold in.
Arizona,
Yeah.
and dozens of other ships from history. The bow of the ship, that huge honeycomb structure of steel girders, beams,
Like,
frames,
people would
and
have definitely
bulkheads,
died, but
suddenly begins to
probably
crush
like
up.
10?
This is because, like I mentioned earlier,
Yeah, it wouldn't have been
1500?
great,
and
but
fast
like,
with a
yeah.
massive amount of forward momentum.
Yeah, but it's like, that's
When
why they
ship
tell you
collides
if
with
you
the iceberg, there
are
is
going
suddenly
80 in a
released
car, if
massive
a deer
amount
jumps out in front of
energy.
you, you should just
Just
hit the
hit it.
deer
All that
instead of
force
trying to,
has got
because
to go
you'll
somewhere.
kill yourself trying
But
to
where?
miss it, and you still
Some
might
would
kill
have
the
you
deer.
believe that the force of the collision is exerted on the entire ship's hull at once,
Also,
causing
just-
failures
yeah,
all the way
just hit
along.
it. Sorry.
But we know that this isn't the case. You remember when I mentioned plasticity? Steel bends. It's not like glass. It won't just shatter. And as it bends, it absorbs an amount of force. Zhang's 1999 paper draws a direct relationship between the amount of building material employed in the ship's construction, that is to say,
Oh.
the sheer amount of steel holding it together,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
and the amount of force that the bow of the ship is
More
able to
in
absorb
between.
or dissipate as it is crushed up. And it just so happens that transatlantic ocean liners, like the Titanic, were designed and built to be extremely strong as they battered their way through the North Atlantic. Therefore, they employed an awful lot of steel. The effect of this force dissipation is enormous. Zhang calculates that a 150,000 deadweight ton tanker moving at around 18 knots would experience bow crushing of around 15 to 20 meters, or say 65 feet.
That definitely wouldn't
But
have
the ship
covered
would
5
survive.
compartments, so.
The energy of the impact of Titanic's collision would also be absorbed by the crushing itself.
Like, it wouldn't have kept going,
Specifically,
but
the
it could
effects
have
of plastic
treaded
tension,
water.
crushing,
Right.
Well, it
folding,
waited.
and tearing as the bow broke up. It's not impossible to think that as Titanic's bow crushed in on itself and the ship was slowed from 21 knots to a stop in just seconds, passengers at Titanic's very stern would only maybe have felt a slight jar and maybe not even be thrown off their feet, as the bow's own destruction absorbed all that energy from the collision and brought the ship
The
to
lookout
a
might have
gradual
been
stop.
fucked, but
At
you
one
know.
of the inquiries held after the Titanic,
Maybe not.
He should be
one of the
fucked if
ship's
he
main
didn't see the
designers,
iceberg. It's
Edward
kind of his
Walding,
job,
took the
right?
stands
Well,
and testified,
like we said, they
saying,
didn't have
"I'm afraid she
binoculars.
would have crumpled up in stopping
It was
herself.
hard to
The
see. It
momentum
wasn't
of the
really
ship
their
would have crushed the
fault.
bows for 80 or perhaps 100 feet. The commissioner of the inquiry was curious, and he asked, "Your opinion is that the ship would have suffered that crushing in the first 2 compartments, but that the shock would have shattered or loosened the rivets in any other part of the ship?" Wilding responded, "Not sufficiently, as it would take considerable length, 80 or 100 feet, to bring it up. It is not a shock, it is a pressure that lasts 3 or 4 seconds, 5 seconds perhaps. And whilst it is a big pressure, it is not in the nature of a sharp blow." In fact, Wilding even cited the Arizona collision as evidence. "I believe the ship would have been saved, and I am strengthened in that belief by the case which your lordship will remember, where one large North Atlantic steamer some 34 years ago did go stem on into an iceberg and did come into a port, and she was going fast." Wilding was asked, "What you mean is that the ship would have telescoped herself?" And he responded, "Yes, up against the iceberg. That is what happened to the Arizona." In short, from the outside, Titanic would have looked in fairly bad shape. Impacting the iceberg head-on and at speed, Titanic's bow would have been crushed perhaps as far aft as the forward mast. The forecastle would have been gone, and with it, the bunks and berths for the ship's 250 or so stokers and trimmers, the majority of whom would have been asleep at the time of the collision and would have been simply atomized as the bow crushed up around them. Structurally, though, the Titanic would have been quite sound. Murdoch ordered the watertight doors closed before the collision, so they would have been safely shut, preventing widespread flooding. The forwardmost cargo hold would be lost, along with all its cargo, but crucially, the boiler rooms would be safe. So in theory, the ship would be still able to operate under its own power and generate its own electricity.
It was designed to be its own
Wilding
lifeboat,
was
as we
right,
learned.
and the first 2 or 3 watertight compartments were either destroyed or flooded, then Titanic would still have stayed afloat, because she was designed to stay afloat with 4 of her watertight compartments flooded. With the watertight doors shut, there would have been no way for the water to flood aft into the other compartments, and therefore Titanic could have stayed afloat. Captain Smith would then have ordered a distress call, and Carpathia would be the ship to answer. Smith would have organised an evacuation of the ship, and because the scene would have been much more calm and less frantic than the actual sinking, passengers would probably have boarded the lifeboats from the A-deck promenade. Once Carpathia arrived on scene, Titanic's lifeboats would have ferried the passengers off, while Titanic sat
it still
ominously
remained to
low
be
in the
seen
water
that not
with its
everybody could have
forwardmost
fit.
compartment flooded, but safe for the time
Yeah,
being.
but they would have been safe.
Once empty of passengers, Captain Smith may have shored up the damage, perhaps with temporary wooden structures, and sailed Titanic maybe on to Canada, perhaps Halifax in Nova Scotia, where temporary repairs could be made before the ship could be sailed back
Yeah, they
to
were very
Harland
close
Wharf
to
in Belfast,
Greenland.
where for the next few months her bow would be totally rebuilt, and she would be put back into service for the 1913 season. And that would have been the end of the story. If you're interested to learn more about the topic, I'll include some links to similar papers in the description of this video. But historic examples and real-world engineering tell us that yes, Titanic could have survived the head-on collision with an iceberg. She would have been in really bad shape. Hundreds could have lost their lives in the bow of the ship, but the majority of Titanic's passengers and crew would have survived that night and lived to tell a
trolley
pretty
problem.
extraordinary tale.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your friend Mike Brady from Ocean Liner Designs. Thank you so
Yeah, go
much
follow
for
Ocean
watching.
Liner Designs
Hope
if you like
enjoyed the
this
video.
guy.
If you did, like
I'll have
and
the link,
subscribe to the channel.
obviously,
Every bit helps.
when
I
I
put out a new
post
video
this.
every
Hello there. I was just seeing if that Honor and Glory game was on Steam yet. It is not. But
No, that I don't even know if that'll be through Steam. Maybe it will.
no,
be.
it said it on their like Patreon
okay.
on those videos, but I guess it's not.
I wonder how much it'll be.
I don't know, but there are others on there on Steam too. I don't know how good they are, but I was just showing them the game that I want to play too, which is
Yeah, I need to look at that for you.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I would really like that to be the Let's Play, but we'll see if we can get it to work. All right, one more video for you talking about the all-important theory whether Jack could have fit on the door in the movie Titanic, not the actual Titanic, obviously. And then we'll get into
It won 11
some
Academy
photos and
Awards and
other
is the third
theories.
highest-grossing film of all
It's
time.
not anymore, as we learned.
A lot of Australians interested in this.
Yeah, this is a really short one too.
The Titanic.
Titanic.
Couldn't Kate Winslet have moved over just a smidge? They couldn't split that 60-40?
He doesn't need an invitation.
These people do not get poetic license at all.
Could Jack have fit on that door?
Green Onions, nice. Good song in the background.
Have tipped. I don't know.
So to end the debate once and for all, director James Cameron has just performed some in-depth forensic experiments.
1,000, 1,000, back up.
He hired 2 stunt people of similar height and weight to Jack and Rose, chucked them in a pool, and waited for the results.
And it's pretty interesting.
He concluded that if Jack had just hopped on the debris, both he and Rose would have perished. However, in another scenario, if Rose had given Jack her life jacket, the guy might have hung on long enough for a lifeboat to come and save him.
Final verdict, Jack might have lived. Based on what I know today, I would have made the raft smaller, so there's no doubt.
Did it ever bother you that Jack didn't survive?
The editing was cracking me up.
There was definitely enough room for both of them to fit on.
Okay, buddy, why don't you pop a shirt on? Okay.
They're in California.
To make it more
more memorable.
Would it be nice
Making
if
me
they
feel
both
bad.
Nobody wears a shirt in
If he
California.
comes there, tell him to come down and swim here, I'll pull him out.
No, they're in
Cameron
Australia.
chose
Australia, okay.
Jack's character not to jeopardize Rose's life by trying anything too
I don't
wild.
know.
You're crazy.
Personally, I'm livid Jack didn't survive because I am fanging for a Titanic sequel. Think of the possibilities. Titanic 2, sink or swim. Iceberg in the city. Look who's Titanic 2 or T2, Rose's Revenge.
Titanic
Would you
2
go
Electric
spot on that floating
Boogaloo.
debris for the love of your life?
Probably not.
I 100% would. Totally. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
For her, of course.
I'm standing here. He has to say that.
Well, you know, toss a coin and go head or tail. What do you want, love? You know, look.
Look at me, mate. Look at me. I'm flying. I know my heart will go on. How about
Okay, I
yours?
don't
A life
either.
jacket, and maybe they would have both survived.
What if they were in a throuple?
Then I guess there's no way three of them can fit
I like
on
his
the, on
glasses.
the
They're
debris.
kind
So
of
then
like
it's
Yeah, I like those glasses. They're very Harry Potter.
Anyway, those are all the videos I have, but I'll throw this on while we look at some of the photos I have. Oh, I should probably pull them up before. But I really wanted to share these because I always looked up, you know, like things that had been excavated from this, like the actual wreckage, and this was on my bucket list of things to do just in general. And so when we went to Vegas, I was like, we're gonna go do this. I don't even care. So it's at the Luxor for anyone who is interested or has a Vegas trip planned or whatever. This is really cool. The Luxor is like the giant pyramid too, in case you don't know. Yeah, very cool. And this kind of skips around for a second, so I have to went to medieval times too, really fun. And the Hunger Games. I was there for the exhibits and the food, but I wanted to show you all the entrance to it, but it kind of like skipped a bunch of photos for some reason. And I'm sorry it's a little janky. I tried to upload these in several different ways, and Drive was the only thing that really worked because there's like 100 images that I took. So anyway, sorry it's a little janky. So this is like when you first walk in, and yeah. I'm not even sure what that is, but I'll just kind of go quickly through these. This is like, you know, as you're walking through the exhibit pretty much. And I just really like all of the like old footage. That's why I like included some of those videos, just because I'm really fascinated by actual footage from that time. But there's an actual piece of coal from the Titanic. I actually bought one, or bought like it's like a piece of it. It's like coal from the actual Titanic. Pretty crazy. I have a picture of it. It's not, you can't really see it, but I have a picture of it at the end. But you can buy like an actual like piece of Titanic coal from the gift shop, which I thought was pretty cool. And they have like recreations. It's pretty cool. They have recreations of like newspapers from that time I almost got, but I didn't want them to get messed up in like traveling. But it's crazy. You can still find like coal. It's really crazy to me just how much they've been able to recover and like what is still intact. You'll see a couple things that I just like took so many pictures of because I was like, what the hell? Wow, Shiggy. But yeah, there's more coal like in machine parts. Okay, that did not play like I thought it was going to, so we'll just do this. So yeah, departed on April 10th, was on the water for 5 days. Should have been for like 2 more days. Really, really exciting time. It was the next big thing. They left and they never went to New York. Okay, so here's some of the recreations of the cabins and corridors. This is kind of like a cute, like this hallway here. Like we're here with like a bunch of people, right? And we're just like walking through the corridor, so they're mapped to look like, I think this is steerage where we are. So this is designed to look like the hallways in a steerage area of the ship. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Third class passengers were mostly European immigrants looking for a better life in America. Some had already established themselves, some were just, returning after visits home. Others were joining family members. Yeah, here we go. Third class ticket on Titanic to New York was $40, which is about $900 today, which is a far cry from the $4,500 price of a first class luxury suite, around $103,000 today. Well, that is different than what we read. But
inflation, right, has been...
I guess, yeah, like inflation's been crazy.
It's like, yeah, it keeps going.
So yeah, very expensive, even for third class people. And like these cabins, I thought was like, it's crazy. They would likely be occupied by up to 4 strangers who spoke different languages, and these cabins are really small, as you will see in this next photo. 4 people sharing that. You probably don't know them. You get to know them pretty quickly.
Reminds me of being in dorms in college.
Pretty much, or like in New York. But
yeah, or like being in a mansion in New York is pretty much, it's this big.
But it was wild to me that some of these things are still as intact as they are. Yeah, especially the dish. Like, look at this. That looks like ready to eat off of.
There was like a lot of cool stuff that looked way more intact than I thought it would.
Yeah. Like, I just took so many pictures of this particular... I was just like, it's crazy. China was not part of the White Star Line's dining service, but 16 pieces were recovered from the wreck site. Most likely it was part of a large shipment sent as freight. Titanic's cargo rates were high in order to claim the limited space. But yeah, it's like in crazy pristine condition considering.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like taking a butter dish, wine pitcher, and transfer print. I'm not sure what that means. 2 vases. It's just so cool. It's very cool to me. Inflation is skyrocketing, so that's good. Yeah, they're gonna have to replace those signs. Just like look at that. It doesn't even look like, if you like just saw a picture of that, you would not guess it was from the Titanic wreckage. A lot of plateware was recovered. And I thought it was cool because it had the actual White Star Line logo. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Didn't know it was going to do that, rather. White Star Line, which no longer exists. There's Mr. Ismay. Let's see.
Chairman.
Yeah, chairman. I thought he was... Maybe I was thinking about JP Morgan and VP in my head. But yeah, not really great. Oh, this was crazy. Like the actual letters from SeaDeck with the wood still. Like that any piece of wood was recovered is crazy. Yes. I don't think we've talked about her yet, so I'll just read this because like she's legend. Margaret Brown, unsinkable Molly Brown, first class women's suffragist and human rights organizer, played by Kathy Bates in the movie, if that gives you a little more memory. Although she was married to one of the wealthiest miners in the United States, Margaret Brown, 44, never forgot her roots. The daughter of Irish immigrants, Mrs. Brown worked tirelessly for her 2 greatest causes, literacy and women's rights. Margaret and her daughter Helen, who was a student at the Sorbonne in 1912, had been traveling throughout Europe and had met the John Jacob Astor Party in Egypt. When Margaret received word that her first grandchild was ill, she decided to leave for New York immediately and booked passage on the first available ship, Titanic. Due to her quick decision to leave Europe, very few people, including most of her family, knew that Margaret was on board Titanic. Imagine that. So there's a recreation of a first class stateroom, pretty sure. It was first or second class.
Yeah, I think this was first. I don't remember really though.
Yeah. It was first or second class. for sure. And then I don't know if these are actual things or if they just recreated it.
I think this is
like some of it. I don't know if it's just recreated or what. You are not allowed to go in there, so.
No, you are not.
Because that looks like it could be. I don't know. But also just a good job staging also. I'm always astonished by people that traveled the world back then, as it was not easy. No. See, that looks real. But yeah. And yeah, I think, yeah, like some of this stuff, like this is a wallet, like a leather wallet. Barking in the dark. Hello. Is this a museum? It's very cool. Yeah, this is from the Titanic exhibit at the Luxor in Las Vegas. Shiggy and I went there last year and went to the exhibit. So I'm just showing some pictures that they have at the exhibit, which was very, very sad, but very cool. Because they gave you, and I had pictures of it at the end, your ticket to get in were actual recreations of Titanic tickets. And they gave us a couple, like a real life couple. And unfortunately, I survived while Shiggy did not.
Just so weird, given our genders.
But I'll show you. I was trying to find them. I don't know what happened to them. I know I tried to like save them, but I couldn't find them to like actually show you right now. But I have a picture of them. But yeah, it's just wild. Like some of the amount of restoration that has gone into this. Like these glasses. Like it's just wild to me. Shiggy would totally be the one panicking. Oh, I don't think there wouldn't be a person panicking. And if you say that you weren't, you're a fucking liar.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing. Of course. I've been obsessed with Titanic since I was small. I mean, me and you both, friend. I became pretty obsessed after like watching the movie, especially. And I can't remember if that was the first time I knew about it or not, but I became obsessed after for sure. But yes, thank you for coming in. I have a few more, and yeah, it's just wild. There, if you ever are in Vegas, I highly recommend going to it. It wasn't very much. It was like $50, I think, ish.
Yeah, which in Vegas prices, that's like $10 right. Normally. So
talk about inflation. Oh, thank you for the follow, Barking in the Dark. Welcome in, neighbor. Same here. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of hard not to, because it's fascinating, even though it's it's not outside of the norm for us to be obsessed with macabre shit like true crime, right? Like, which is something we also very much like in this house. I watch trials like during the day. Like I wanted to be a forensic psychiatrist so bad, so I just live vicariously through others. Oh, it's not bad considering. Nope.
I want to be a defense attorney, so.
And I want to be a prosecutor, so.
Yeah.
We've talked about like staging something for a brunch show. I don't know how we would do it, but it'd be kind of fun because we are both just two sides of the coin here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the money too, like that any paper or wood has been recovered. Look at that behind there. Like it's just wild. And I don't know if you caught that before, but most of the currency was American rather than British. So like there's just like coins, gold sovereigns, half sovereigns, featuring busts of Queen Victoria, King Edward VII, and King George V. Is
the current King George VI?
No, he's George. Is his regnal name George?
I thought so.
I thought he was keeping Charles.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, I think he kept Charles. Is it the first?
King George V is Elizabeth's father.
Yeah.
So if there's another Edward or George, I mean, he'll be the sixth. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah.
I think, but I think he's keeping Charles. So
I think you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, pretty wild.
Charles III. Okay.
Charles III.
King Charles.
King Charles III. I mean, yeah, look at this. It's just wild. And like just being, interested in history in general too. This is part of it. But yeah. A lot of money, a cigarette holder, which I thought was really cool. I tried to get a good picture. There's some playing cards right here. But yeah, in very good shape considering. I wonder if they found them inside anything. Fascinating in a tragic way. Right, yeah. The largest vessel made at the time should have had enough lifeboats. Someone from White Star Line said nope, because having so many wouldn't be aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, that is part of it too. They also had enough, technically to fit the law or whatever. They even had more, even though the law at the time was like, I don't know, we just watched the thing about it. What was it? It was like you had to have 50% or something of the amount.
It was based on the weight instead of the people. Yeah, it was
based on the size, right? And it was just, that's what we were getting mad about. It was based on the size of the ship. So for the size of Titanic, they were only supposed to have 10.
Yeah,
they
actually
20.
had more. They had, we're supposed to have 16, I think it said, and they had 20.
Oh,
so
okay.
They went 4 over, but still, it was like not even close to enough.
Yeah, even with 20, it was only like 1,100 people could be saved, and then they didn't even fill the boats. So it's just like only 700. Great. And then yeah, they had this wall which had all the cafe stuff, and this like they had like these quotes from actual passengers, which I thought were very cool. Fancy strawberries in April and in mid-ocean. The whole thing is positively uncanny. Why, you'd think you were at the Ritz. But yeah, I thought this was just so cool. I keep saying that, but it was just very, very cool, as you say, in a tragic way, But it's just like, I never thought I would get to see this kind of thing, especially back when I was like very, very obsessed with it and looking up everything I could. There's just like the White Star Line, all the dishes from the third class dining saloon. And I thought this was cool. This was the only thing that I saw from the Café Parisien, which is one of my favorite sections of the ship based on recreations and things. And then like just the silverware, like it's insane. But all the dining ware that they've been able to save. Was a stained glass window in the first class lounge. Just more dishes with White Star Line logo. A freaking chandelier. I mean, just look at the condition. Like, I just marvel at that. It's wild. Actual chandelier. And they had a lot of informative stuff like this, like ice warning at 9:30. They just were getting slammed with ice warnings all day. Probably the whole time. But like all day that day especially, and they were all, a lot of passengers said that there was like a drop in temperature, it got super cold that day in particular. Yeah, see, the Californian stopped, and that's the one that we'll talk about briefly about, well, I can talk about it now too. Like the Californian was the closest ship to the Titanic, but they mentioned it in that video where it was like they'd already shut down their wireless for the night. But there are other theories that even if it had received the message, I think they were stopped or going very slow, and it wouldn't have made a difference. But this was particularly crazy to me. There is champagne in that bottle. I don't know if you can see, but it's
That was like one of the craziest things to see for sure. Like actual champagne is still in the bottle. Like how much money do you think would that
still corked
garner? Yeah.
Stuff in there.
It's lost some, right? Because of just like evaporation.
Sure.
But like that's crazy. That's over 100 years old.
This is the craziest thing, I think, for me. It was one of the things. I took so many pictures of this. I was just like, what? I don't know if I took a better picture of the sign, but it says champagne still remains inside some of the bottles, so this isn't the only one, recovered from the wreck site. The best champagnes of the period included the Pommery Nature and Mum's GH Extra Dry, as well as the Moet and Chandron Dry Imperial of 1898 and the Cliquot of 1900 vintages. Those are still like in line today, by the way. Those are like, I don't know if all of them, but like Cliquot and I know Mum's and I'm pretty sure Moet, like they're all still going today. Pictures are amazing. Thank you. I was such a tourist. I was such a tourist during this thing. I didn't even care though. I was just like, this has been on my bucket list for so long. Something I am personally obsessed with. So I was just like, Like everything I took a picture of. Well, I did. But there you go. That's what I was just reading. It's just crazy. It blew my mind. And they did this just really cool recreation of the outside decks, which I thought was really neat. Nothing wrong with being a tourist. I know, I hate it. I don't know. But I was just like, yeah, so like, I don't remember if there was like anything below there, but like it was just a really neat recreation of the deck area. Tasting history with Max Miller. Oh, I think we just watched Max Miller. Was that the guy we just watched? I don't remember, but thank you.
So.
Maybe not. I don't know. We've watched a few things. If you do want to go back and watch the VOD, we pulled up some, like, there's a real-time animation that we watched that's really interesting here. Whoop. The real-time animation is here, which I think is pretty interesting, and that's what we started with. I think we watched the Max Miller, but I will look into that because I watch stuff like this all the time. And I went down a whole rabbit hole with the real-time animation syncing. And so yeah, once I went to this, I just thought it would be an interesting brunch show to do and talk about, and show off some of these pictures, just because I think a lot of people have seen this exhibit. Maybe I'm not even allowed to do it. I don't know. Probably fine, right? But yeah, they had whole little areas like this of just, I hope we get out of this all right. I have a wife and 5 little kitties at home. You're just like, God, shit. They did a really good job with respectfully honoring everything and everyone. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's the Strauss. I will not be parted from my husband, as we have lived, so we will die together. Because yeah, just like, no, that's not a decision I would like to make. Thank you very much. Just a dull thump. I didn't even feel the shock. Like, nobody understood how serious it was. No, it's crazy. It was, and then this person, it was a severe shock, just like thunder, the roar of thunder. So I guess the closer you were to the front, right?
Yeah.
Crash, then a low rending, crunching, ripping sound as Titanic shivered a trifle and her engines gently ceased. I'm not sure where she is, but depending on where you were, you didn't even know it happened. Oh, there's the compass. Oh, 1 of 4. Oh, yeah, here's the iceberg. I think this is to size. Or no, I guess it's not. Because it would have to be 400 feet. I think this is how much it was above the water. Hold on. On the night... Maybe it's just an iceberg. Most of those lost during Titanic sinking did not perish from drowning. They perished from hypothermia, a rapid mental and physical collapse that accompanied the lowering of body temperature. Silver plate soup spoon from the first class dining saloon. Personal teacup. Oh, this was really interesting too. So this is a recreation of what they found, and I have a comparison in the next picture. I feel like that lady was an author. It was amazingly described. She might have been. But like, they found these dishes like this in a cabinet. Here, let me get the, yeah, see, this is how they found them. Like, they were all lined up just like that. Hundreds of these perfectly preserved au gratin dishes were recovered from the sand, where they were found lined up like dominoes. The cabinet in which they were stored remained intact and settled in the sand during the sinking. Over time, the cabinet's wood rotted away, leaving the dishes stacked neatly together. Because as we talked about, it took, 75 years for them to find the wreckage. But yeah, that's how they found them, which is crazy that anything was that intact after pretty raucous sinking. The saucepan, this was pretty crazy to me. It's like a chef, that how much could be preserved from the kitchens. Oh. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Barking. Hold on. Hold on. Where are you? Oh, hold on. I have to look on this. Hold on.
This
I'm
is
so
that
sorry.
link. Bad Streamlabs.
Where are you? Wow, it just like took you off. Hold on, I'm working on it. I'm not a real streamer. You didn't do anything wrong. I had trouble with some people back in the day. Just constantly posting links. How do I Ah, you're back. Okay, good. No, here, I can permit you. You're all good. You're all good. There you go. Should be able to post that now. Wow, that just like completely deleted you from the chat, so I couldn't figure out how to unban you. Oh, and Shiggy's gone now too. Wow, just everything's fine. Everything's fine. Alright.
Okay, I'm back.
Alright, we're back. I hate that you can't do that on Streamlabs anymore either. Oh, it wasn't even at like 400 feet. The iceberg that sank the Titanic was relatively large. Yeah. Reports from survivors claim the iceberg. Yeah, it was like 100 feet above the water and like 400 feet total. Big. Really big.
Huge.
And they discovered it like 2.5 miles below the surface. Oof. That freaks me out too. Like in the beginning of the movie, like when they actually like dive, like it's like being in space, right? Like it freaks me out, like being inside an enclosed space where you're like all this pressure on the outside would just like kill you in an instant. It freaks me out way more than a cruise, okay? Like, and that's another reason why I could never be an excavator.
A cruise,
too much of a
like,
pussy.
Freaks me out just as much as that.
No, thank you. Yeah, pure darkness. Just you would die in an instant if those windows gave. Just no, dog. No, dog. Mm-mm. But this like this model was really cool.
Yeah, it was big.
It was.
It was like what, I don't know, like 50 to 100 feet long or something.
Yeah,
It was like pretty big.
It took up a whole room. Yeah, pure darkness. That was another thing we talked about. Was just like when the ship goes down, like it's pure darkness. Just like how much nightmare fuel can like one incident have? Ugh, creepy. Whole lot of nope. I had mentioned this before, but I took a picture of it because I was just like, oh no. The ship is being slowly consumed by metal-eating bacteria. This is why we must recover what we can now from the site. In a few years, perhaps a decade or two, it will simply be gone. So, fund some excavations if the Titanic is important to you, because it's gonna not be there anymore. So I think they're doing everything they can, but that was a really mind-boggling fact for me because I never even thought about that. And we lost out on like 75 years of study, so like we need to, what do I have to do?
At least those bacteria are eating pretty upper class. They're like, ooh, this is expensive.
They're like, I don't have to move for years. It's a good thing it was found. Yeah, we watched a like some of the documentary about like how they found it earlier. It was really cool.
Yeah, that piece is huge.
Yeah, so this is they call it the big piece. This is an actual part of the Titanic. I too have slowly deteriorated for real. I feel that. But you can sort of get the scale here. This thing is fucking huge, and like if you, it's still, just how big the Titanic was. It is crazy. It's crazy. I can't fathom how big that thing is. Like, look, if you see, it's just this giant piece here is just a small part of the ship right here, like from the middle-ish.
Yeah.
It's I'm guessing from part of the
such
breakup.
A small piece of the whole thing, and it was huge.
No, you're all good here. We don't. Like I said, it just was a problem for a while. Just people coming in and like posting links and stuff. So that's all. You're all good. Yeah, holy smokes, right? It was crazy to stand next to this thing.
Yeah. And it's like an actual piece.
Oh yeah. Like the big piece, I don't know if you can read this, so I'll read it for you. The big piece is a portion of Titanic's starboard side hull. It measures 26 feet 6 inches by 12 feet 6 inches and weighs about 15 tons. Just that little piece weighs 15 tons. It was successfully recovered during RMS Titanic Inc.'s 1998 expedition. The big piece displays the extensive rivet work that went into the building of Titanic. Like you can even see in this, like just this little bit of picture, just like, I can't even count how many are in that picture. 3 million rivets were used in the ship's construction. Also, beams forming part of the original framework are visible in the back, which I did take a picture of. The portholes visible on the big piece came from sea deck and were part of cabins C-79 and C-81. The fact that they've recovered so much from sea deck makes me think that I guess that's just like where it split.
Yeah.
Because there's like the signage that they recovered too. I guess it's just, well, I'm not sure though. That's just a theory. Cabin C-79 was a part of a suite of rooms that included wardrobe rooms and private baths. So that's part of where this room came off of. There were over 22 suites of this type on Titanic. Cabin C-81 was part of a stateroom, which also included private baths. Although C-79 and C-81 were unoccupied, cabin C-83 housed New York theatrical producer Henry B. Harris and his wife Irene. Also nearby was the cabin occupied by W.T. Steed. We really liked the initial first names back in the 1900s. At the time, the most famous journalist in England. Irene Harris survived the sinking, but both Henry Harris and W.T. Steed lost their lives in the disaster. So that's like part of their rooms were this big piece here. And you can kind of see here, like the piece takes up the sides of both of their rooms there. Wild. It's crazy. Riveting content. Stop it, DL. Stop it.
Nice.
I mean, that's what Saturdays are for. Yep. It's only a tiny section. It's like a window on a house. Right. It's wild. We stood in here for like a while because we were just like, this is wild. This is crazy.
Yeah, it was at the end of the exhibit. Like they kept it till the end because it's the best thing.
Yeah, this was towards the end. But just look at, I mean, like just the rivets. Look how many there are just in this one piece.
Yeah.
It's astonishing to think about the size comparisons. Yeah, I don't even know. I've not really been next to any cruise ships, but like, it's just crazy to me. The amount of like the workmanship. You can build like the best built ship, but it's still a piece of hunk of metal. Honestly, I think I'd cry seeing that in person. I mean, the whole exhibit is very somber. Everyone was really respectful when we went. You know, there wasn't like a lot of loud talking or like, you know, like everyone, you could feel it, you know? And I think most people who would go to that weren't going to be, you know, raucous or anything. But yeah.
There's like 1,000 other places to go be raucous in Vegas. You don't have to
right, and it's
go
not
to
really
an exhibit and pay money
about
for it, you know?
About a shipwreck, right? But so like the mood was very somber and respectful, and it was a really great experience. So I can't recommend the exhibit enough. For anyone who missed it, this is the Las Vegas Titanic exhibit in the Luxor. So if you are heading to Vegas, highly recommend. Current largest ship is Wonder of the Seas and is 5 times the size of Titanic. Jesus!
Like a picture, like a comparison.
Holy crap! Hola, that's too big. That's too fucking big, bro.
I'll send you
an
image on Discord that compares them. That's fucking crazy.
Hold on, I'm gonna move it over just real quick. Look at that. Oh, that's holy shit! I don't want it. I don't want to be on something that big, bro. And especially with this a bunch of people. I'm stuck with a bunch of people on something. No.
That makes me want to never go near a ship ever.
That is way too large. That's too large.
It's too much. Too much ship.
Too much ship for this burrito. No, thank you. What?
Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's literal city on the water. No, thank you. I can't even be on land with these people. I don't want to be on a fucking boat with them.
Yeah.
Well, here's just a fun timeline that I thought puts things in perspective. 1995, that piece was found, and they didn't even take it out until 2 years of planning. So they didn't take it out till like 1996, and then they lost it while they were recovering it. Fuck them. Even in 2023, the PP measuring contest that sunk the Titanic continued. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
not into it. Yeah, it's had quite the life. This piece, displayed for the first time in 2001, so relatively new-ish.
The Wonder of the Seas can hold 7,000 passengers.
It's too many.
So that's 3 times about what the Titanic held.
I just liked the bench. The benches. Too many people. Not into it. Nah, it's a pass. I always like this. They show this a lot. You know, when they talk about finding the Titanic wreckage. That's how would you have found that anyway? Like, you'd have to be like the technology, and like you would easily pass over that as just like a rut of the natural ocean floor. It's so hard to pick out if you weren't, even if you were looking for it.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Even if you knew the general area. Yeah, like craziness. Do you know that wherever they saw shoes was more likely where a body came to rest? Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Dang.
Yeah, so here's the back
side.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, the back piece. So like this is like what the interior of the rooms would have been here, and there's the separator for the rooms. But yeah, there's still glass in these portholes. It's huge. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, still just chilling, even after being excavated. Like, the workmanship is to be, I mean, like, I know it's sank and all this shit, but like, really, the craftsmanship on this thing is masterful. But, you know, nothing can really prevent what happened, you know, besides going slower. Maybe. I'm surprised that the glass survived. I know, I took so many pictures of it. I was just like, there's like actual glass still in this thing. It's crazy. These are really, it was really dark in this particular room, so I'm sorry for the quality of this, but these are perfume vials.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what she said. It's kind of ones where you have to say it. Yeah. And then, like, you know, the aftermath here was kind of how they ended the exhibit, and then they kind of threw some of these things in there. Like the chef's hat really blew my mind also. I don't remember if there was perfume still in the vials. I think they're broken. I'm pretty sure they were all broken.
Yeah.
But they had like they had written, the natural oils of bergamot, geraniol, and lavender are written on the labels, and they would have been blended into perfumes. I don't know what these are. Metal sleeves and labels. Even despite spending nearly 9 decades on the ocean floor, these vials emitted the scent of the oils they contained when examined during recovery. After being underwater.
Almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years, still smelled like what they were supposed to. Yeah. But yeah, this chef's hat really. Third baker William Hine had packed this chef's hat in a small satchel. He wore his last name on the brim. I think you could see the name, but I don't remember if I got it on here. But the medicine bottle too. I guess this was all this guy's stuff here. Yeah. This was crazy. The black onyx beads, like, they're still all in there. Probably used on a suit or coat. I wonder if this is the diamond that lady lost. Also recovered
super
inside.
opinionated lady.
It's super
There was
opinionated.
no music, and I know it.
More paper. Like, I just, that anything was still legible and like intact at all. Wild. Just crazy. Good boy. Is he a good boy? We're gonna go give the good boy a treat. We'll give him a treat after this, but I promise.
I can go give him a treat right now
give
if
it.
you want.
Give it.
Yeah.
Give him a
Look
hay
it up.
stick. Hold on. I have a better fuzzy cam. Hold on. Hold on. So for anyone who doesn't know, there's Fezzik. He's our Flemish giant. He's just chilling. I thought I had a better camera. I'm sorry, I need to fix that. Bunny! Oh, then he always runs to the back to eat it, but there's our boy. He's usually out and about more. He's just been chilling the whole time. I need to fix my Fezzik cam. So sorry about that. Oh, damn it. I found it. I was like, I knew I had one. There he is. There's our boy. Sorry, I couldn't find that in time. There's our little boy. But yeah, there's Fezzik. Thank you for the treat. He thanks you for the haystack. He loves them more than life. That's so no one steals his treat. Yeah, he takes it in the corner and he just hoards it. He's a good boy. Why are they so damn adorable? I don't know. They're a lot of work.
He
Don't
really
do it.
is adorable. Yeah, don't do it.
It's a whole thing. We can't go anywhere at the same time. It's kind of a factor that I didn't really think about. But they require daily care. Rabbits are not for the faint of heart. That's what I'll say. I love it, and I did a lot of research beforehand. Don't get a rabbit lightheartedly is what I'm trying to say. They are a lot of work. And I'll be like, oh, I could do it. And then like after a week, you're like, wow, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, especially when they are just going to the bathroom on everything. No matter what. Like they just go to the bathroom and you let them out, and then they like spray piss and shit everywhere.
Yeah, we just had to get them neutered because it just wasn't. We weren't making any leeway. So anyway, fun time. We can have a whole rabbit brunch show. There's so much to like. They require so much, but oh yeah. Oh, this was crazy too. So this was that same case from the before picture, but there's still stuff in here. I can't remember.
I forget what that is. It's
Cosmetic
like,
jar, like I don't
makeup. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like makeup or something, but it's like crystallized, and there's
Yeah.
still like a bunch in there. That's crazy. I was stood by that thing for so long. I don't know if these are weathered to look like it or if they were actually recovered or not.
I think they were recovered.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was like the end. And these are, yeah, I don't know. I wish I like had these for you in person, but this is like what I got from the store, the gift shop, and these were your tickets. So this is mine on the right here, Mrs. Claus Peter Hansen, otherwise known as Jenny L. Howard. I was 45 and from Racine, Wisconsin, and accompanied by Claus Peter Henderson, which was Shiggy's ticket here. So I just did like a front and like a back. So this is what it looked like to get on or to get into the
Without
exhibit.
The QR code. Oh yeah.
Oh, what?
It would look super realistic in like of the time if they didn't put a QR code, but the QR code is like how you scan to see if you were alive still or not.
Oh yeah, so like at the end, I didn't take a picture of it, but like at the end you could scan that, and they had like screens at the end where you could see if you lived or died. Yeah. We were like Jenny and her husband Claus were returning from a visit to their families in Denmark, whom they had not seen in 21 years. They were in third class, so I'm not sure how I survived. I guess I was one of the very lucky ones in the front that they let out. And Passenger fact, before leaving Racine, Jenny told her brother she had a feeling that she would never return alive. She even told him the type of funeral arrangement she wanted. Yeah. Oh, there we go. There's the backs of... There's claws. And, yeah. In order to finance their trip to Denmark, Claus had sold his barber shop. So, like, not only did Jenny have nothing after she came back, she was down a husband, had no way to recoup any money, like, just, like, had her life, but that was about it. And then, yeah, there's better pictures of this that I bought, but it's actual coal from the Titanic, from a 1994 recovery expedition. There's a better picture of it. Pretty crazy to actually have a piece of coal from the Titanic in my house. Oh, and then I bought, so I wasn't allowed to take pictures, so they had a whole reconstruction of the grand staircase. It was really cool. And then in that room, you were not allowed to take pictures for some reason. But they had a bunch of jewelry that had been recovered, and this was my favorite one, so I bought it. It's just really pretty. Oh, I'm sorry, this camera's not focusing very well. But yeah, I bought it, and I still kind of maybe want to get the newspapers, because I thought that was just super cool. But yeah, that's it. Let me see if there's anything we forgot to talk about. It's really pretty, right? I really like it. So, I think that's pretty much it. We sort of talked about the Californian, but oh yeah. So the White Star Line had a curse of the White Star Line. And we'll just talk about this really quick, because I think we kind of covered all the like theories and stuff that I was going to bring up right now. So but there is yeah, I'm pretty sure all three of these sank, or they were at least involved in like disasters. I'm pretty sure the Olympic sank. Although their fate wasn't as catastrophic as the Titanic's, their stories and short careers were hardly less dramatic. All three ships, intended to be leading ships of the century, were met with terrible luck. Despite being dubbed unsinkable, their time on the ocean was short-lived. They weren't a good company. No, they were not. There's what JP Morgan looks like, if you ever wanted to know what the founder of Chase looks like. Invested a ton of money into the White Star Line. Olympic-class ocean liners. Luxury boats were supposed to be the new fancy way of traveling, and the White Star Line's shipping company was in fierce competition to land the title of the leading boat company on the planet. So you can see where their priorities lied, and that's why the Titanic met its end, or partially responsible for Titanic meeting the end that it did. The first of the three Olympic-class liners was the RMS Olympic. And this is the one I'm pretty sure this was after the Titanic. In December 1908, construction on her started, about 3 months before the building of the Titanic. Okay, so before, where the other two ships would later be built as well. So the RMS Olympic. They were not the fastest ships and were never intended to be, but they tried to be still. Instead, their main attraction was their size, style, and comfort. Because of this, the blue ribbon for the fastest ship stayed with the MRS Mauritania until 1921. But yeah, so the Titanic sister ships, just all cursed. Just cursed. It all began with the HMS Hawk, which I don't know about. Was sucked into the side of the Olympic near the stern. Oh, not good. Most likely caused by the suction produced by the much bigger Olympic as she started to turn. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Made a hole. The Hawk. Like, oh, so this is the collision we talked about this briefly earlier. I guess this is the side collision that they talked about.
Oh.
The Olympic was blamed for the collision. So yeah, side don't get into a side swipe with a ship. It's not going to go well. But you can hit things head on. You can hit them head on, and it's probably fine. So yeah, the Olympic hit another boat. Didn't sink. So they got really cocky about that. The repair took over 3 months, and then while that was being fixed, the Titanic was under final construction. Oh dear. It's just like, no, let's just stop. We should probably stop. Another sad and messed up fact, families of Titanic's musicians were billed the cost of uniforms after the ship's sinking. Wow. Rude.
Very rude.
Wow. That's fucking terrible. Yeah, this is not a good company. It's not a good company.
I would bill the Titanic people for
right?
the cost of the life of my relative.
The audacity.
Like,
wow.
Sure, here's the $20 for the uniform. Now you pay me the life insurance for the dead family member, please.
Oh my god. Wow. It was requisitioned by the Royal Navy. Okay, so I guess the Olympic didn't sink. It just got into a really bad accident. Pre-Titanic. And then Olympic served the British Royal Navy for 24 years. And then oh, okay, so Captain Smith was the captain on the Olympic when it collided. Oh no. This guy had bad luck, man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Barking in the Dark. Yeah, I know that like this whole like them fixing the Olympic kind of stalled the Titanic construction. RMS Titanic served for 4 days. Yes, Captain Smith died during the Titanic tragedy. 70% of people died. Yeah.
Can't beat those numbers.
Costing 1.5 billion pounds. Titanic. The Olympic might scare the survivors. Yeah. Oh, the Olympic was one of the. They were on sea, at sea. Well, at the same time, they immediately changed their course toward the Titanic to help, but they were still pretty far away by the time all the survivors were rescued. And the captain of the Carpathia refused the Olympic's offer to take on survivors. So, yeah. Where's the other? So, the youngest ship, sister ship, that's hard to say. His Majesty Hospital ship, the Britannic. I could have sworn that, like, another one sank. Yes, there it is. Not that I should be excited about that, but, like, yes. I knew I was right. And I thought it was the Olympic, but the Britannic also sank. So they were all the same ship, pretty much, like, design-wise. So the Olympic got into an accident, the Titanic sank, and the Britannic sank. And I think in relatively short amount of time. Like, all pretty close together. Started sinking even faster than the Titanic. Didn't bring that one in after. Just like, maybe we should look at safety things. In less than just 1 hour, she disappeared into the bottom of the ocean, sharing the same fate as her big sister, making the Britannic the largest ship lost in World War I.
Oh, it was lost in the war.
Yeah. It struck a mine in the Key Channel. Kia Channel. I was trying to hear that. Voice just made a weird noise. But yeah, Britannic sank after hitting a mine from the war, and sank even faster than the Titanic.
A mine will make you sink faster than scraping a little icy, for sure.
But apparently, that seems weird to me. But thankfully, because of the higher water temperature, more lifeboats available, and faster help, 1,006 out of the 1,036 people on board were saved. So these are better numbers, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, who is this? Most unsinkable woman. Oh, is this about this nurse? Yeah, the nurse. I remember this story is pretty crazy. She survived like multiple shipwrecks. Most of these 30 deaths resulted from 2 lifeboats being launched without permission, which were sucked into the propellers that were still running. Oh, that's messy. Luckily, she managed to jump out of the lifeboat just in time. Like, how close are we getting here? Like, what? No. What makes Violet's story even more amazing is that she was also on board the Olympic when it collided with the Hawk. And she was also one of the few survivors of the Titanic. She was on board all 3 of them. That's right.
That's company loyalty right there. She's like, it can't happen a 3rd time, right? Like, hell yeah, I'm buying these tickets.
I would never go on a boat again if I were her after the first time. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so your conspiracy theories are always fun, but sinking at the Titanic is no exception. Yeah. JP Morgan. There you go. JP Morgan plotted the whole thing. Like, why would you do that though after spending that much money? Curses come in 3s.
Insurance or something? I don't know.
Wouldn't
Isn't that
you
why
make
people
less?
usually do crimes?
Theory claims that business mogul and banker J.P. Morgan planned the Titanic disaster to kill off his millionaire rivals, Jacob Astor,
Whoa,
Isidor Strauss, and Benjamin. Like, they all died, and Benjamin
They did all
Guggenheim.
die.
Yeah, they did. They died. All of whom lost their lives on board. We know Morgan was the main investor on in the Titanic and the rest of the White Star Line's Olympic class liners. So I guess he's like, I got 2 others. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. But
it would be so much cheaper to, like, I don't know, pay for like a hitman.
But this theory stems from the fact that although Morgan originally planned to sail the Titanic on her maiden voyage, he changed his mind at the last minute. However, it doesn't explain how he caused the ship to hit an iceberg and kill more than 1,500 people when just 3 men were supposedly intended to die.
Yeah.
Or was it the Rothschild? So, like, people planning to sink this ship, I don't know, man. Like, that seemed pretty accidental to me. And just like a series of unfortunate events. The Titanic never sank. World War II never happened. And flat Earth. It's like these people, right? The Titanic never sank. It's all a hoax. Alright, we should just delete this video then.
Alright, cool. It's never happened.
It never happened! Just like the Holocaust. Nah, dog. It happened, bro. If everyone loves a good insurance fraud story, no. Just, who comes up with these? We know the Olympic was damaged after its collision with another ship. Sent to Harlan and Wolf's shipping yard after she was fixed. What does that have to do with that? Okay. Insurance scam gone wrong. Like, no. These are crazy. That's one hell of a hoax, right? Like, no. Huge financial disaster. Yeah, like, they were probably looking to not, like, if anything, they were looking to, like, restore their name. Conspiracy theories suggest the Olympic was far too damaged to be a profitable asset to the White Star Line. The ship was purposely switched with the perfectly safe, undamaged, and unsinkable Titanic to collect the insurance money that White Star Line didn't receive for the Olympic, as she was blamed for the collision. Wouldn't you just make a better ship and, like, it might take you a minute to, get back to where you were, but, like, I don't know. I guess I've heard of
mummy
crazy
curse.
things.
Okay, now we're cooking.
Oh yeah, it was just Elvis's spaceship, bro. Duh. It just is so. I hate these theories that are like, that didn't happen, and it's just like, oh my god, like, yes it did. It just very much happened. All for the money. Many holes in this theory. Yeah, like, these don't make any sense. A mummy curse doomed the ship. Where's Brendan Fraser?
One. Yeah.
I didn't know about this. William Stead was one of the passengers who went down with the Titanic as a British... W.T. Stead. We read about him. Subscribed to earliest 20th century spiritualism and spent the past few years claiming that a cursed mummy was causing disaster and mysterious destruction in London. It's very far
Maybe
away
it has
from home.
something to do with them looting everything in the world for their entire history and like actually stealing mummies.
And we
Like,
read
that'll give you some curses.
I mean, half of the fucking first class had just come from Egypt. I'm
Oh
just
my
saying.
god, you're probably right. They're probably looting
John
the
Jacob
shit out of
Astor
that
and Margaret
place.
Brown were in Egypt. I'm just saying. This is probably the one with the most credibility.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Honestly, like they kind of steal artifacts all the time.
That's what the whole
and
mummy
put
is
them
about.
in a museum.
I think by this time White Star Line was bleeding money. I'm sure. And they were desperate to make more. Yeah. Which is why they were relying on the Titanic. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Blame the mummy and not the guy who raided the tomb. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Victim blaming.
It's the
I love
mummy.
it.
Victim blaming.
I can't believe this mummy did this. He's like,
It's the
has
mummy.
jewels in his pockets
It's the
and like
mummy.
a crown.
Yeah.
This
no.
mummy is screwing us, you guys.
While on board the Titanic, he happily told the tale of his mummy's curse to other passengers. No, dog, no. Where is this unlucky mummy? People are the most skeptical when it comes to this theory. Well, I think it's the most credible. I mean, a cursed mummy sank the ship? Yeah. The so-called unlucky mummy is still at the British Museum, and there is no evidence of a mummy ever being
Weird.
looked.
It's like projecting. They're like, I don't know what it could be. It could be all these like Grecian tablets we stole. It could be the mummy we stole. I mean, we have a bunch of jewelry
I don't
we
know
stole.
what it
could be any of
be.
this shit.
White Star Line rolling ones on every ability check, yeah. What is that? Okay, next myth suggests the Catholic workers of Harland and Wolff, the Belfast company that constructed the Titanic, were concerned that the ship's number was 390904. The reason they were troubled by this seemingly random number was because when viewed in a mirror it said no pope.
Huh?
That's not what it says to me, but okay.
That's not what it says.
Could this unsettling number be a sign of bad luck that predicted the ship's fate? Was it doomed from the start? The answer is no. Titanic historian Walter Lord said that he received multiple letters from people in Ireland saying that this no pope story started in the mid-1950s, decades after the ship sunk. So, debunked. Bye. No pope backwards. No one cares. Like, that's not what did it. Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not what did it.
Pretty sure that's not what did it.
Can't say for sure.
There's
but
all the conspiracy theories and fun stuff. Curse of the White Star Line. We talked about if Jack could fit on the door. What if the iceberg hit head on? Well, yeah, that's what I thought it was gonna say. Vanished, no hope. But it still doesn't say that. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I will share the links to these, as I said, on both the YouTube and the Discord. For those of anyone who's in the Discord or not in the Discord, there is that. If you would rather just follow me on YouTube, I get that. Discord be crazy. There's that. I try to post content every Monday and Friday, sometimes Wednesdays, but I've been a little slacking lately because I can't get this game to work. But hopefully Shiggy can use his prowess and help me make it work so I can still do the Let's Play, because I would really love to play this game for you. I'd really love to play it. I can't get it to work on Streamlabs currently, but if you've never played this game, Barking, I don't know if you're a gamer or if you're just a watcher or avid enthusiast, but if you are into gaming, I highly recommend this game, especially as a Titanic enthusiast. It's one of the like earlier games that I played, and it was like at the height of Titanic obsession, so it's really good. And I just don't have a gaming computer yet. I understand. This is really good, and I think most like a laptop or whatever could play it, but add it to your list. It's really good. And I plan, if I can get it to work, to play it as a Let's Play. And then Titanic, the Honor and Glory isn't on here yet. I was hoping to share it, but they do have a Patreon, and I know they're working on it. I will include their YouTube on their YouTube page on the video when I post it. Hopefully I don't run into a ton of copyright issues also, because I played some things that they could ding me for, but I'm hoping not. Shiggy's Wizardry, yeah, I need it. I need help.
Yeah,
but like when I try
think
to
I can
launch
make it work.
yeah, when I try to launch it, it just like does a small window, and it's really weird. And I couldn't get it to work. I got it to sort of work, but not to the point where I would force you to watch it. It would not be fun for you to watch. So if we can get it to work, that'll be the next Let's Play. If not, I'll move on to, I think, Tell Me Why, because I was going to keep going with Don't Nod, and I really enjoyed that game, and I'd like to play it again. And it's a really good game. So I might play Tell Me Why if I can't get Titanic to work. I do have a build that I need to finish. I am building the Meet Joe Black mansion, which is one of my favorite movies because I was just watching it the other day. So that is coming as well if I ever get my shit together. And then I have some world boxes to open. So some unboxing videos are coming as well. So yeah, some more content coming. And then another final reminder that the next Brunch Show will be on May 13th, and I will be joined by some guest stars, some friends of mine from work and also real life, because we all have very differing opinions of Star Wars, and so it should be really interesting. So yeah, that'll be the next Brunch Show, and then some Let's Plays and stuff is coming to the YouTube. So if that sounds fun, join that. And then yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Shiggy, will you have anything?
No.